Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Jaguar. If you're selling, they're buying. Get an accurate valuation on your Jaguar. Contact Lookers today. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard on a huge weekend of league football in Scotland. The post-split fixtures begin today with the race for Europe, and to avoid relegation taking centre stage, Celtic can win the Premiership tomorrow if they get it right against Hearts, while Rangers host Aberdeen, and Dundee have been crowned winners of the Championship and will start their ascent to the top flight. I'm Gordon Duncan, and joining me this afternoon, three kings of Saturday afternoon radio: Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins.
The Championship has given the Premiership a hard act to follow today. Congratulations to Dundee, up to the top flight after an 8-goal thriller against Queen's Park. Ayr United finished second in the table. Has fate started to put together an all-Ayrshire playoff final against Kilmarnock? They're at Motherwell this afternoon, and you have to favour the home team. And one last thought on what happened last night, Gordon. Inverness County Thistle finished 6th in the Championship table. They now have no football for 2 days short of a calendar month, and then on the 3rd of June they have to play the champions-elect in the Premiership, the team who've only lost 4 games in their last 71 league matches, and who are on the verge of a treble. Well done, Billy Dodds.
Yeah, it was a remarkable night last night, and well done to Dundee. Congratulations. But the pressure now falls on the shoulders of Kilmarnock, Ross County and Dundee United, all fighting for their lives down there in terrific games. And then we've got the main show tomorrow, where Celtic can wrap up the title once and for all at Tynecastle. A great weekend of football ahead of us.
Well, we're off to a fantastic weekend of football after last night. I think everybody was glued to Queen's Park and Dundee. What a game, what an end of the season final game. Well done to Dundee. Unfortunately for Cove, relegated, but this weekend's got to be just as big. A lot of important games. Absolutely.
Sit back and, I was going to say, relax. I don't know if you can do much relaxing at this stage of the season. Sit back and try to enjoy, because there is a lot to play for. Of course, we'll look back on a fantastic evening in the Championship. So whether it was a happy or a sad outcome for your team, you can certainly share your thoughts on Twitter throughout the afternoon, and we'll have the open line a bit later on. Yes, of course, we're going to have to preview tomorrow at length, because it could be the day that Celtic are crowned champions of the Premiership. They can do that in their own right by beating Hearts at Tynecastle, and of course interested to see what happens between Rangers and Aberdeen as well. Hugh Keevins.
Yeah, of course. A lot of issues at the top end of the table and the bottom end today, but I think tremendous anticipation of what happens at Tynecastle tomorrow. 1,200 Celtic fans, and that's your lot. But Ange Postecoglou would rather win it in front of 1,200 Celtic fans than no Celtic fans at all at Ibrox the weekend that follows. And for Rangers tomorrow, all eyes on team selection for Michael Beale. He's lost to Aberdeen in the league. He's lost to Celtic in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup. No Rangers manager can afford 3 defeats on the bounce. So big weekend for Celtic and Rangers tomorrow. But before then, it ain't half hot.
Absolutely, it's an incredible time of year when you think about it. We're in awards season. We're going to be crowning Player of the Year and all that sort of stuff in the next couple of weeks. We'll find out. Well, it's a matter of when, isn't it? The Celtic win the title, League 2, League 1, the Championship. They're all done and dusted now in terms of the title. Teams could still get relegated from those divisions. The playoffs mostly sewn up as well. So lots to get through. But let's kick off with today's games though, and get some team news for you ahead of 4 fantastic games. So much to play for, and this is the beauty of the split. It's not perfect, but what it does is it pits all these sides up against each other with similar aims. So let's start at the top, shall we? Or nearer the top, because Easter Road is a fascinating one. Hibs against St Mirren, and Fraser Wishart is there.
It is fascinating, Gordon. I hope I get as good a game as your build-up, because as you say, it's the only game of the top 6 that's been played today. It's still plenty to play for these two. They're level on 44 points, both 4 behind Hearts. Now Celtic win the Cup, which we all expect. I think it'll be between these two for that crucial 5th place, and of course Conference League football next season. So today is vital for both, and I don't think either can afford to lose if they are going to get that 5th place. For Hibs, they had 4 defeats in a row, talking the manager losing his job. Then they beat Hearts 1-0, drew against St Johnstone 2 weeks ago, and they still find themselves in the top 6. That perhaps sums up what's been a strange season for them. Poor League Cup, didn't go out of the group throughout 2022. Ups and downs, really inconsistent, long runs of defeats followed by a few good results to pick up their form. I think Lee Johnson will probably and rightly point to injuries. His first choice front three to start the season would probably have been Nisbet, Boyle and McGeady, and Nisbet was out injured. Boyle and McGeady picked up serious injuries. They've also lost Bushiri for a long time, he's back in the bench, and Kyle McGuinness, so that's part of the reason for their inconsistent run. But they now have a great chance of European football next season. Lee Johnson has talked openly about that being one of the main aims for him and a club the size of Hibs. But for St Mirren, they've achieved that top 6 place for the first time. I was in Paisley to see them stumble over the line against Kilmarnock a couple of weeks ago. They played as poorly as I've seen them all season. Over 33 games, they deserve it. And they've also had injuries. They let Eamon Brophy go on loan to Ross County. Then Ayunga, their main striker, was hit by an injury. It's kept him out till the end of the season, and they'd limited options up front. And then this week Tory Watt took a knock in training, was wearing a boot on the pitch earlier on, and he might miss the rest of the season when that's assessed next midweek. So a lot rests on the shoulders of Curtis Main, with Alec Grieve and youngsters Lewis Jimison and Kieran Offord in support. So Stephen Robinson never won at Easter Road as a manager in 7 attempts. Quite amazing given the good Motherwell team that he had a number of years ago, and that includes a 3-0 defeat here earlier on this season with St Mirren in October. How he would love to break that duck today. Team news unchanged: Hibernian 4-1-4-1 formation from that game against St Johnstone. Jimmy Jeggo, of course, won his appeal against his red cards, so he takes his place in midfield. David Marshall's in goal, CJ Egan-Riley, Will Fish, Paul Hanlon and Lewis Stevenson at the back. Jimmy Jeggo's in midfield with Chris Cadden, Jake Doyle Hayes, Joe Newell and Ellie Ewan, the 4 behind Kevin Nisbet. The subs for Hibernian: Matt Johnson, Lewis Miller, Matty Cabraja, Matty Hop, Michael Devlin, Ewan Henderson, Sean McCurdy, Josh Campbell and returning Rocky Bushiri. 3 changes for St Mirren, shocked to say, and Bacchus dropped to the bench. Tony Watts, said earlier, is out injured. In come Gallagher, Kilty and Grieve. Usual 3-5-2 for St Mirren. They've got Trevor Carson in goals, a back 3, Marcus Fraser, Declan Gallagher, Charles Dunn. Across the middle, Ryan Strain, Greg Kilty, Alex Gogic, Mark O'Hara and Scott Tanzer, with Alex Grieve and Curtis Main as the strikers. Saints subs: Peter Rominski, Joe Shaughnessy, Luke Kenny, Richard Taylor, Ryan Flynn, Colin Boyd-Munns, Keanu Bacchus, Kieran Offord and Lewis Jimison. The referee today, Easter Road, is Matthew McDermott, and on VAR is Ewan Anderson.
Incredible time of year, Fraser. We said that, and I think, look, we've maxed out last night in terms of the type of evening where you constantly look at other scores. Last night was the prime example of that. But again today, with everyone sort of playing each other, you look at the opportunity for Hibs and St Mirren. There's no disrespect meant to Hearts, but they will probably hope that Celtic beat Hearts tomorrow. That would then open the door for both Hibs and St Mirren to really close that gap on Hearts to just 1 point, sitting in 4th at the moment. So it's that time of the year, isn't it?
It is, and with all the sort of bigger teams, if you like, our 5 biggest teams I think are in the top 5 places, then there's tough games towards the end of the season, particularly for St Mirren, who have surprised everybody this season and got into the top 6. But we tend to focus on the title race and the Old Firm, and people think tomorrow Celtic win and that's the end of the season almost. Far from it. There's teams up and down the league, maybe only Livingston, perhaps Motherwell as well, with not a lot to play for, but the rest either at the top or the bottom, plenty to play for. And say Celtic win that league, then I think that win the cup, then 5th place in this league is a place in Europe, and that's a good tournament. When you look at West Ham and Roma and AZ Alkmaar in the semi-finals, the Europa Conference League has become a good competition quickly over the last couple of years, so there might just be a wee bit of stardust for these two next season. But just looking at Hibs fixtures, they're away to Aberdeen next, and then they have 3 games in a week. They're at home to Rangers, home to Celtic and away to Hearts the last game of the season. Tough games for them. I think Hibs, if they're going to get top 5, have to win this game today. I don't think they can afford to lose.
I was actually looking, there's a significant anniversary today. It was 6 years ago today St Mirren went to Easter Road, the great escape. They could have gone down, they got the result. It was your pal from midweek, Roy Loy, that scored that day.
Oh, Roy's a good player.
Known to everyone else as Rory Loy, of course, but you christened him Roy on the show the other night, which was quite something. And I suppose that, quite poetic the way that's come round, Fraser, in the sense that St Mirren go back there today. And how important is the message that they've been striving for this top 6 for so long, and they've got there, But as we said, the bigger prizes are actually so close that there's no point in resting on your laurels with a top 6 spot.
No, I mean, I think a few years ago, you're right, that game, I think I was at a different game, but I was listening in and it was really nervous. Hibs had already got promotion and St Mirren had been virtually relegated. Jack Ross came in and made up 10 points in the second half of the season. It was amazing, and they could have been in League One. And you look at Falkirk and Dunfermline and you see where they've ended up for season after season. So one of these sliding doors moments, St Mirren could have been down there for a number of seasons, but they've ended up in this top 6 position. And I think a few years ago, top 6 meant top 6 were only maybe had 4th place might have got into Europe or whatever, because of the low coefficient. But the Old Firm doing really well in the last few years. He's raised the coefficient. The UEFA Conference League as well has just brought an extra European place. Plenty to play for. I mean, 5 out of the 6 teams in that top 6 will qualify for Europe, and that's a big thing. The Old Firm supporters maybe don't see it. It's a big thing because they're focusing title. But for the other clubs, it's a big thing. The best Aberdeen Hearts can hope for is 3rd, so they're playing for that. For Hibs and St Mirren, 5th place is Europe. So I think it's going to be a really exciting end to the season in the top 6.
Yep, looking forward to that one then. Hibs against St Mirren, your only top 6 offering today because of the 2 big games that take place tomorrow afternoon, but they're equally as big, if not bigger in some ways, down at the bottom. Let's go to McDermott Park because St Johnstone play Dundee United under the watchful eye of Roger Hannah.
Yeah, and Dundee are up, as you discussed at the top of the show, Gordon, and that makes it all the more important for these 2 local rivals to stay up and face them next season. And after the 2-week league break, it's easy to forget Dundee United are the form team of the bottom 6, 3 straight Premiership wins, and those victories against Hibs, Motherwell and Livingston have lifted Jim Goodwin's side out of the bottom 2, and they'd climb above St Johnstone and go 9th tonight with a win here in McDermott Park. On form, Jamie McGrath scored in all 3 of those wins. Stephen Fletcher's netted in 2, and the upturn in form has really caught the imagination of the fans, with United's 2,700 allocation for a trip down the road to Perth selling out within an hour. St Johnstone this week rejected a request from their local rivals for more tickets, with Goodwin describing the snub as disappointing. But he won't be disappointed if his side can defeat an out-of-sorts Saints here again and jump further up the table. The hosts haven't won in 7 games since a 2-1 success at Tannadice in February. They're still without a home win since that 2-1 triumph over Giovanni Van Bronckhorst Rangers back last November, and caretaker boss Stephen McLean searching for a first win after starting his reign with a point here against Hibs a fortnight ago. The omens though, Stephen, they're not good for your Saints, I'm afraid. All 3 meetings this season between the sides have been won by the away team, and it's 13 games in 8 years since the home team prevailed in this Tayside derby. Mind you, McLean did play in that 2-1 win for the Saints here in Perth. He doesn't have his troubles to seek today, Gordon. 3 enforced changes from that 1-1 draw with Hibs. Injuries to Ryan McGowan, David Witherspoon and Conor McLennan mean all 3 are out of the squad this afternoon. So they go with Remy Matthews in goal. James Brown's recalled at right back. Liam Gordon, Andy Considine and Adam Montgomery complete the back 4. Midfield of Dre Wright, Cammy McPherson, Dan Phillips, and the recalled pair of Melker Hallberg and Graham Carey, with Stevie May leading the line. On the bench, Sinclair, Mitchell, Gallagher, Ballantyne, Moreland, Baer, Murphy, Rudden, and 16-year-old homegrown striker Jackson Milcreast is on the bench. As for Dundee United, no such problems at all for Goodwin. They're unchanged from the side that's won those last 3 games. One addition to the bench, ex-St Johnstone winger Glenn Middleton is back in place of Sadat Anaku. So they go Mark Berigiti in goal. The back 4, Kieran Freeman, Loy Kaina, Charlie Mulgrew and Scott McMahon. Across the middle, Mari Niskin and Ian Harks, Craig Sibbald, Jamie McGrath and Aziz Behic. And up top, Stephen Fletcher. On the bench, Newman, Edwards, Graham, Cujo, Thompson, Jim, Fotheringham, McLeod and Middleton. The ref is Alan Muir and the VAR is Greg Aiken. And I've got a trivia question, Gordon, for the Mushroom, Dundee United expert. I mentioned a moment ago that Jamie McGrath scored in the last 3 league games. Who was the last United player to score in 4 consecutive league games?
Jim McIntyre?
No chance.
I'll go Nadir Chifchi.
He didn't score 4 in his career.
Ryan Gold.
The reason I asked is just because Mark loves Nadir Chifchi, that's all. I've got no idea if he did or not. Go on, put us out our misery, Roger.
10 years ago, almost to the day, Johnny Russell scored in 4 consecutive league games. It was in a run of 9 goals in 8 games, and that earned him his big money move to Derby County.
Well, looking forward to that one. Now remember, St Johnstone are 9th, Dundee United are 10th. They're only 2 points separating them, so that is that time of the season. These games are that important. And just below that, of course, Kilmarnock, who go to Fir Park today. David Friel's there.
Yeah, Gordon, it was interesting that Hugh brought up the prospect of a potential all-Ayrshire playoff final, because I hadn't even taken my seat here when someone of a Kilmarnock persuasion, who will remain nameless, come up to me and said, can you imagine a playoff final against Ayr United? That would be amazing. It would just top off an amazing championship season and season in Scottish football. Obviously there's a lot of football to be played before then, but maybe something that will come down the line. I think these two teams would probably have been disappointed to have no game last weekend after positive results in the final round of fixtures before the split. Motherwell of course got that 1-1 draw at Celtic with Kevin Van Veen, the April Premiership Player of the Month, scoring that wonder goal. But Kelly, so bad on the road, were also really impressive in a 2-1 win over St Mirren in Paisley. It was a long time coming. Their away record is beyond awful this season, but Derek McInnes, he knew he had to change that, and he was a relieved man afterwards. As you said, Kelly started the day second bottom. They're still in real danger and they could do with another big away result, but Motherwell 6 points ahead of them in 8th position. I was actually looking at a piece earlier on where it says statistically Motherwell have 0% chance of going down directly and 3% chance of being in the playoffs. I don't know if Stuart Kettlewell will agree with that, but I think it could certainly, if Motherwell got one more win, I think they would be safe. The before meetings, so this is the 4th meeting of the teams this season. Motherwell actually haven't won any of them. 2 have been draws and there's been a Kilmarnock win, so I think Motherwell, so impressive under Stuart Kettlewell, will be looking to put that right today. And with Kevin Van Veen in prolific form, as we said, they clearly have a chance. He's got 6 goals in April, he won that Player of the Month award. He'll be looking to add to his tally of 24 for the season so far. There's a bit of chat, can Motherwell keep him in the summer? You know, does he go for one last big payday? I think there'd be no shortage of interest in him, but I think that's maybe a topic for another day. He'll be fully focused today, looking to continue in May where he did in April. He's partnered by Mikael Mandron, who replaces Harry Payton, the only change from the Celtic team. So I think Motherwell will go back to that sort of 3-5-2 formation. Liam Kelly in goals, Paul McGinn, Callum Butcher and Dan Casey at the back. Max Johnson, Callum Slattery, Sean Goss, Blair Splittle and James Furlong across the middle, with Mikael Mandron and Kevin Van Veen up front. Subs for Motherwell are Oxborough, O'Donnell, Lammy, Mugabe, Aitchison, Blaney, McKinstry, Miller and Payton. As for Kelly, they've suffered a real blow. Kyle Vassell doesn't make it at all, he's not even on the bench. Just signed a permanent deal, he's been really good, but he is injured, he can't make it, and Scott Robinson comes in for him. Joe Wright also replaces Lewis Mayo in the back three, and the only other change. So Kelly will line up Sam Walker in goals, back three of Joe Wright, Ash Taylor and Luke Chambers, midfield 5 of Danny Armstrong, Alan Power, Liam Donnelly, David Watson and Rory McKenzie, and the front 2 will be Christian Doidge and Scott Robinson. Subs for Kelly are Hemming, Mayo, Dossett, Alston, Jones, Lyons, Alebiosu, Wales and Polworth. The referee at Fir Park is Kevin Clancy and the VAR is Mike Roncon.
Right, you've made me feel a little bit better with this news that you've brought us, that Motherwell have got a 3% chance of finishing in the relegation playoff, David, because it feels like it would be a bigger chance than that, given if Kilmarnock beat them today, the gap would be cut to 3 points. I guess what goes in Motherwell's favour, it's not just about the points column there, it's that St Johnstone and Dundee United and Kilmarnock would all need to find a way to overtake them at the same time. Is that where it comes from?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just looking here, Gordon. It was a piece by data specialist Nielsen's Grace Note. So they say Motherwell chance of direct relegation 0% and chance of just being a playoff 3%. So I think you can relax, it'll be fine.
No, I can't.
Nothing to worry about at all.
Absolutely not. Anyway, that's you up to speed with your team news from our featured games. Don't forget there's another massive one at the bottom. Ross County against Livy County, rock bottom, and they are 4 points behind Kilmarnock and Dundee United. So really a bad combination of results for them today could be verging on catastrophic, but we'll keep an eye on that one. Livy, are they in holiday mode? They really don't have much to play for, so we'll see how that one pans out in the Highlands as well. We're going to be back with a look back on an incredible night in the Championship. Do that next. And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
When it comes to helping those that really need it, actions speak louder than words. So here's what we've been doing at British Gas. Over the past year, we've given £50 million in energy debt support, including grants to help with bills, And we're keeping homes powered with emergency energy credit. That's enough talking. Let's get on with the doing. British Gas. Eligibility criteria apply.
Action as it happens. And your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
You'll know at this stage on a Saturday, we generally get all the guys involved and look back on the week's biggest talking points. And it is hard to ignore the championship last night. It came to a dramatic conclusion at both ends of the table. And I wonder, Hugh Keevins, in your very, very many years in this business, you ever seen anything quite like that on a final day?
No, but I think it was partly created by Queen's Park being so awful defensively that it was shown last night that this is too early for them to be thinking about the top flight. I think that Partick Thistle will beat them home and away, and that will be the end of that. It's been a very, very exciting run, belated collapse on the part of Queen's Park, and they will come again next season, but it's too early for them now. By the same token, I think Dundee need players as well if they are to survive. They could become a yo-yo team. You know, they've gone down, they've come back up in a winner. All credit to them, but they need players or they will be slaughtered in the Premiership.
Yeah, I don't even mean game or team specific, Roger Hannah, just generally for it to go down to the final night in 9 of the 10 positions. I just wonder if we'll ever see that again.
Well, do you like quality or do you like excitement, Gordon? And if you like excitement, there's been no league in world football like the Scottish Championship this season. Dundee, deserved champions. They've won the league with 5 points in the end, but I mean, you wouldn't believe it. The 5-3 in the final night was fantastic. There is then 1 point separating the next 4 teams. You have to feel sorry for Dougie Emery and Morton. They did so well. They did their part of the deal last night. They won away at Cove. They relegated Paula Hartley side, and yet still in the dying moment they were denied a playoff place. Thistle against Queen's Park will be fantastic. A Glasgow Derby in the quarter final of the playoffs. Hamilton Accies now in the relegation playoffs as well. And as you said at the top of the show, we now have this ridiculous situation. We had it when Billy Dodge was assistant manager at Queen of the South 15 years ago, and they were a month without a league game before playing Rangers in the Scottish Cup final. Now Billy Dodge is going to have to do it again with Caley Thistle and wait a month before they play Celtic at Hampden. Yeah,
I mean, let's start at the top then. Gordon Dalziel, Dundee winning it, well done to them. I thought these games are supposed to be cagey and nervy and maybe won by the odd goal.
I actually sat down last night wondering, should I watch this game? I don't think it'll be much a game. Local view, the pitch, taking in the surroundings, and I'm thinking this will be a tight affair, 1 goal. My God, I was so wrong. I couldn't take my eyes off it. Absolutely fantastic. And as Roger said there, and I was speaking to Mark, we were listening to obviously the other scores coming in for the other grounds. In 1 minute, Cove were safe, Hamilton were relegated, Ayr were second. Within a couple of minutes, Ayr were back down to 5th. They were out of the playoffs. Funny, it was just such an exciting end to a season, and I'd like to say well done to the honest men. Inverness, difficult place to go. I've said it for years on this programme. They went right to the wire, they got it at the end, and I really do feel for Dougie Emery. I played golf with a good Mont supporter today, absolutely still gutted, but good signs.
I'd like
of
to think so. It was only like 12 hours ago or whatever it was.
Yeah, well, you know, I reminded
them. Still going to be over it the next morning.
Yeah, of course you do. You move on. That's last night. You never think of a Saturday night after a Sunday. You know that,
Mark. If you feel like concentrating on the excitement, of course, like I think everybody knows, a game like that only happens when the defending isn't great.
Yeah.
But you know, on the other side of it, as Roger said, do you want excitement? Do you like your football exciting? Well, there you had it. Even look at the quality of some of Queen's Park's goals that they scored, and it was just a sensational night, wasn't it?
It certainly was. It was entertainment for the neutral in particular, but like for those that were there witnessing that, when a game starts in the fashion like it did, you knew you were in for an absolute cracker after the first few minutes. Some of the goals were fantastic. Obviously Fox's goals, the pick of the bunch, left-footed volley from 25 yards into the top corner. And I thought a couple of the goals were great. Obviously you could pick holes in the defending, and Hugh's right in terms of quality stepping up a level. If Queen's Park somehow managed to make their way through the playoffs and got to the final game, then the quality defending will tell. And similar for Dundee. But for Dundee, You know, they deserve it over the course of the season. They should win it. Team with the biggest budget, but they've got some good quality young players in that side as well. Obviously Gary Bowyer will have to add to that, but it's been an absolute fantastic season.
The unpredictability of it all makes it exciting, and we've used every word possible to describe this league, mainly bonkers. But the unpredictability doesn't at the same time give you quality. We've got a Premiership where Celtic are 39 points above Aberdeen in third place. 39 points. That, I think, will be a record gap between first and third. So we have a Premiership that's entirely predictable with regard to Celtic and Rangers, and the rest being also-rans. But the Championship, no also-rans, all in it up until the last gasp.
Yeah, I mean, Fraser, for a while it looked like a title that no side wanted to win. I was going to say neither side, because Dundee and Queen's Park were the only ones that could do it last night. It's ended up that Ayr have actually split them, and Ayr finished second. But you just wonder how it ended up just so close. I mean, I wondered because of that if it was a particularly low points total. I had a look, 63 points for Dundee. It's not wildly out of line with what's gone on in previous seasons in the Championship. There was a time when the champion tended to edge over 70, but Dundee have got there in the end, and it's been some roller coaster, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think, was it 67 last year for Kelly? Had a wee look as well, and when they get promoted, so I don't think it'd be critical. I think there's just nothing between the teams. When you get down to that level, I think Dundee had the biggest budget. They still kept most of their Premiership players on the Premiership wages, whereas other clubs, they really have to cut their cloth. So there's really not much between them. They're all probably trying to sign the same players as well, and they might just be an extra £100 a week in the pay packet. It might just swing it one way or another. So there's nothing much between them. I just fear that none of the three clubs in the playoffs will beat the Premiership club. I've seen all the Championship clubs play, and they're all decent sides, but there's just that bit more sort of strength, a bit more quality in the likes of Kilmarnock or Dundee United or Ross County, St Johnstone, whoever finish up in the playoff place. So I'm not sure they'll get there, and there's a whole load of games, although I don't think it's quite as bad as people sometimes make out, that the playoffs of course gives 4 games for the likes of Queen's Park or Thistle if they're going to get there. But the Premiership clubs are playing 5 games as well, so there's only a couple of games difference. But I just don't think any of the three have got the quality, or just got enough to beat the Premiership team that finished in the playoff place.
Well, that was blockbuster as well. If we start chipping our way down the league, let's go to our Ayrshire expert Roger Hannah, because Roger, as we said, Ayr couldn't win it last night. Queen's Park and Dundee could, but with the combination of results, Ayr have edged out Queen's Park on goal difference, and it does give you a better opportunity in the playoffs. It gives you that so-called easier path.
Yeah, and it's very, very hasty. Partick Thistle and Queen's Park meet, I think, at Firhill on Tuesday night. They then meet again next weekend. It's already been a lengthy, arduous season for both sides. So I think Lee Bullen will be very glad of his 10 days off with his players. Great reward for Lee Bullen last night. Nathan Shaw, I think, equalised with about 9 minutes to go for the Scottish Cup finalists Inverness Cally Thistle. He took off a left back, the holding midfielder, threw in a striker and another winger, and got his reward when Mark McKenzie scored with just 2 minutes to go. And if we're praising Dundee as deserved champions, I think we'll have to say United deserve second place. They've got the top scorer in the league in Dipo Akinyemi, shortlisted for Fraser's Award, PFA Scotland Championship Player of the Year. And Lee Bullen and the chairman David Smith have done a fantastic job. There's loads of work going on off the field. They're about, after the playoffs are done, they're about to build a stand in the opposite side from the main stand at Somerset Park. So it's a club going in the right direction, and delighted for them to finish second.
Yeah, I mean, David Friel, when you look at that disappointment for Queen's Park, do you think the sort of pain of that, the frustration of that, can that derail you going into the playoffs that, as Roger says, they come around so quickly, a couple of days, or does that actually not give you time to mope about?
I suppose it doesn't give you time to mope about, Gordon, but it wasn't just last night. I think if you look at Queen's Park's recent form, it's not been great. Does that make it 1-1-7, I think? I was down at Morton last week for the show watching them. I think Morton were deserved winners that day. They obviously shipped 5 goals last night. I agree, I think Partick Thistle will be too strong for Queen's Park. I think it's been a great run. I think Owen Coyle, well, he's admitted it himself, they're certainly further forward than he ever expected, but it's been a long season for them. I think things are maybe starting to catch up with them a bit, and I think it's a big task for Owen Coyle to get those players up against a Partick Thistle team who wouldn't say they've got momentum, but they've got a manager there in Chris Doolan who's got an impact from these players. I think it's going to be a very tough 2 games coming off the back of such a disappointment last night, Gordon.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Roger, because Partick Thistle ultimately parted company with Ian McCall because they had designs on getting promotion. They still may do it. It was a strange night because Wraith Rovers have nothing to play for and they're not in a great place, and it ended up 2-2 in Kirkcaldy on the night. But Thistle do make it to the playoffs, and they would be one that certainly carry more pre-season expectations of promotion than the likes of Queen's Park do.
Yeah, and you just wonder where the pressure will lie. Hugh's saying there Thistle will win home and away, but they didn't win away at Kirkcaldy last night, as you say. Wraith, nothing to play for, injury hit. They only had one outfield player on the bench, I think, last night for Ian Murray. I fully expected Thistle there to go there and win with a bit to spare, and they didn't. And while we're all agreed that Queen's Park defensively are not the finished article, far from it when you look at the 5 goals conceded last night, but they always look likely to score a goal, Queen's Park. They've got good players going forward. The Charlie Fox's 2 goals were terrific, but in the likes of Dom Thomas and Grant Savoury, again 2 players shortlisted for the PFA Scotland Championship Player of the Season. They've got good attacking options, and I think that quarter-final's too close to call. I really do.
And then you get down to the fine margins, Fraser Wishart. If you're talking about a league that's so tight and so exciting, then there's going to be heartbreak for someone. And you look at Morton, they finished level on points with Partick Thistle. If they had an ear out for the other result, they wanted it to stay level. If it had just stayed the way it was between Inverness and Ayr at 1-1, Morton's win at Cove would have seen them into the playoffs. But it was just that type of night. Someone was bound to miss out, and a 5th place finish for Morton. I'm not sure how George Bowie concentrated in the GBX last night with all that going on.
I think he'll have one eye on the results as they came in, as would Dougie Imrie and his players as well. And it's been heartbreaking for them because it wasn't down to them. They did all they could. They won the game, but Ayr United were 5th and then scored a goal with a couple of minutes to go, and they end up in 2nd. Just too little, too late for Dougie Imrie. But I think it's a good season for Morton. I mean, they've really struggled for a number of years. I mean, the turnover of managers has been incredible, and they found themselves at the bottom end of the table fighting to stay out of League One more often than not. So they've got a good base to build from. The players won't care about that just now today because their season's done. They finished 5th, as you said, and they dropped out. And at the bottom end, Hamilton Accies as well just managed to scrape into the playoffs. Cove Rangers, because of that result, lost their place in the league. And Paul Hartley talking about the game should have been abandoned because of the mist. So there's always a bit of drama around. It's a bit of mist round Easter Road. It's just a wee bit floating into the ground here. I can't see Leith, where we sit in the stand. We can see right down to the river, but hopefully it won't get any worse. So drama even there. Paul Hartley saying the game should actually have been cancelled because people couldn't see the ball. So yeah, it's an exciting night, but yeah, do feel a wee bit for Morton, but in the end it's over the 36 games that count, and they were just short.
Yeah, I had to. Well, I was going to say laugh. Sorry, people of Cove or Greenock or whatever, but Morton posted this morning, sorry we were unable to provide highlights of last night's match because you can't see them. You can't see the action, you can't see the picture on the camera.
If an experienced pro like Paul Hartley can say the game should have been stopped, it was not possible to follow the path of the ball, I believe him. But
at the same time, they did go down though, so you're maybe looking for any help you can get.
At the same time, what is the match official to do? I can imagine the whispering that went on in his ear, because this league has to finish tonight. The entire league has to finish tonight. So
could have played it this afternoon. Could have kept everyone there. But yeah, it was obviously it was a very difficult situation, and it is Cove that go down, Hugh, automatically.
Yep.
And to be honest, a dreadful run of form again. A club that changed the manager, brought in Paul Hartley, hoping for the positive outcome. It was far from it, and it means that the Accies will be in the playoffs. You'll remember when these playoffs were introduced, the Accies were the first beneficiary, really, when they were reintroduced. That wonderful penalty shootout win against Hibs, and now they're staring at the possibility of a drop to League One.
Well, Cove, I said to you last night on the programme, and Kenny Miller laughed. I said there's a reason why Cove are where they are, and it's because they're rotten. And then I listened to Paul Hartley after the game last night, and he, without using that word, basically said the squad was nowhere near good enough to stay up and would have to be rebuilt, revamped, use a Michael Beale word of your choice. And would have to do so for the start of next season, because they are simply not good enough and have gone down to a division that better suits them.
Yeah, sum up the relegation side of things, Roger, before we move on.
Yeah, as Hugh said, Cove, the amount of heavy beatings they took through the season showed they're not ready for this league. They've come through the divisions admirably well, but they've hit the ceiling and they're going back down to League One. Arbroath, a fantastic achievement for a part-time team, a 5th consecutive season in the second tier. Don't think it's ever been done, so all applaudits again go to Dick Campbell, Ian Campbell and John Young with his 2 pairs of glasses. And for Hamilton Accies now, it's a very nervy time. It's only 2 years ago since they came down from the Premiership. They won the SPFL Trust Trophy this season, if you remember, but they'll be judged in league performance, and John Rankin and his players now face a sweat against either Falkirk or Airdrie or Alloa just to stay in that second tier.
75 goals conceded for Cove, so no surprise to see them drop out. Hamilton will face that nervy playoff battle as well. So that's you up to speed on an incredible night in the Championship. Let's switch focus back to the top flight and we'll go around the grounds next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Big games in the Premiership this afternoon as we look to try and move towards settling European spots. Relegation, playoffs, automatic drop is all there, and it all starts today. What an interesting last 5 games it is going to be. Easter Road for Hibs against St Mirren, then that's the only top 6 game, as both of these look to hunt down European spots, close the gap on Hearts and progress up that table. We'll hear from Lee Johnson.
It's a huge game, you know. I'm desperate to fill Easter Road as much as we can. You know, I genuinely feel this is one of, if not the biggest game of the season. I know it feels like that because it's the next one, but I'm really looking for, again, that club performance. You know, the boys are prepared. St Mirren are a very good side that have done very well. They're very organised, very disciplined, very strong, and we're going to need patience. We're going to need that support that we've had all season, really, but we need the volume as well. And you know, we're trying to build our consistency of performances so that fans can really look at us and be proud of us. Obviously we've made top 6, which is great, but it's not good enough in terms of what we want, and we want more.
It's these runs, Fraser Wisher, that Hibs have gone on this season. You go right back to even August to go 4 without a win. Fast forward that to October, 3 defeats in a row. November, 4 defeats in a row. And then even there, March into April, 4 defeats in a row before winning the Edinburgh Derby and drawing with St Johnstone. You just don't really know what you're going to get, but such is the nature of our table, it could end up being a fantastic season for them.
Yeah, it's been a strange season, as you're saying, Gordon, and you just get the impression Lee Johnson's talking there about the need for the supporters, and there'll be a big crowd here. I think St Mirren are sold their allocation as well, so hopefully it'll be a great atmosphere, but you just get the impression that I'm not quite 100% sure Lee Johnson's not quite taken to him, and as you said, in these results and long runs, we seem to be talking about Lee Johnson being a defeat away from perhaps losing his job 3 or 4 times this season, but time and time again the players have dug about a hole, and to be fair, you know, he has had those injuries. As I said earlier, if you had a front 3 at the start of the season, you have Boyle on the right, Nisbet in the middle and McGeady on the left, you think that's a good front 3, and he's been without certainly 2 of them. Nisbet missed the start of the season, came back and has scored a few goals, but Boyle picks up a bad injury, and McGeady's been really unfortunate with his as well, so he could point to Kyle McGinn has been out as well. So there's a settled look now about the Hibs team. You know, you can look at Fish and Hanlon in the last maybe 6 to 10 games began to play decently. Jeggo's come in and looked good as well. You've got Nisbet up front. Ewan has all of a sudden sparked to life on that left hand side, so no changes today. They just look settled, but if they don't get that 5th place and they don't get European football, then yet again I think people will be talking about, is Lee Johnson the man to take the team forward, but there again, he could bring European football to his club, so he's quite right. I think this is a big game given the rest of the season for Hibs. I think they need to win today if they're going to get that 5th place.
What drives this stuff then? Is it, sorry to use Hugh's word, the narrative? What drives that? Is it just the expectation? Because, you know, if you were to stop random football fans in the street and say, have St Mirren had a good season? The answer would be absolutely yes. Have Hibs had a good season? Probably not. And yet, you know, they're level on points with each other. Is that just the different size of the clubs, or where does that come from?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think different size of clubs. It's a different budget as well. You know, they'll play way more than St Mirren and Motherwell and teams of that ilk who will be able to play for players. So they are able to attract better players, and they have a bigger squad, a deeper squad as well. And I think when you're looking at Easter Road, when you come here, the money that's been invested in the stands over the years as well, when they almost get a full house most weeks as well, it's terrific, absolutely terrific, the support that the Hibs supporters give their team, given the kind of lack of success. And you remember, they were a few years down in the Championship as well, so I think they're quite right. I mean, top 6 is an absolute minimum for our big 5 clubs. If Aberdeen or Hearts or Hibs don't make the top 6, I think that's not a good season for them. But now they've made it, but they have to kick on, because 6th for me wouldn't be good enough in the Hibs fans' eyes. They have the bigger budget, they should be well above St Mirren, but today's a key game.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. Really looking forward to keeping an eye on that one. Hibs against St Mirren. Fraser Wishart is there. What about Fir Park, David Friel? I'm going to start banning you all from mentioning it, because as much as I like the compliment to my hometown team, it's just a given. We know the pitch is absolutely fantastic there. Killie went and got a good result earlier this season, a result that, at the time looked like it could be one of the results that might send Motherwell down, but they've recovered quite a bit, and you just wonder what Derek McInnes' side can do on the road now that they've got that monkey off their back in Paisley last time out.
Yeah, I think that was certainly, in terms of confidence, I think it was huge for Killie Gordon, because it was becoming a thing. And to be honest with you, Derek was making it a bit of a thing, because he kept talking about it, and I think at one point he did say that their away form could get them relegated, so he wasn't hiding behind it. No, it was a huge win in Paisley against all the odds. Nobody expected it. It was meant to be St Mirren's big day, getting the top 6, and Killie did so well to get the win. I just think they'll miss Kyle Vassell today. I think they'll miss him a lot. He's been really, really good since he signed. A bit of a nomadic career. I think Kilmarnock's his 21st club, but he's been really good. He's a good foil for Christian Doidge, 2 big physical players. I think Scott Robinson came in. He hasn't really featured much for Killie. Obviously background at Hearts and Livingston, he's a really good player for Livingston, but hasn't really done it for Killie, so I think Killie will lose a lot. And up the other end, the back 3, Ash Taylor, Joe Wright and Luke Chambers, are going to have a hands full with Kevin Van Veen. The stats are ridiculous. Gordon, 9 goals in his last 6 games. I think Michael Higdon got 27 in a season 10 years ago. Kevin Van Veen's on 24. He'll surely pass that. Could he get to the 30 mark? And then I think in terms of what Stuart Kettlewell's done, he's gone with the back 3, McGinn, Casey and Butcher. That's worked well, but I think he's got really good energy down the flanks. Furlong's good on the left, Max Johnson on the right, and he seems to have a good blend in the middle of the park as well. Some ball players, some workers in there. Blair Spittle's been really, really good. So I think it's all set up for a Motherwell win today. Even though Killie got that win away from home a couple of weeks ago, I think they'll have their work cut out to stop this Motherwell team today.
Well, let's hear from Stuart Kettlewell and Derek McInnes.
I think Kilmarnock are a good side. I think it's been well documented. The majority of their points have came on at home. I think they've been pretty close to it at times as well, and I think Derek will tell you that. So I don't buy into that record too much. And from our point of view, I think we know exactly what we're going to face, and I think that they probably know it as well. When you're getting to that 4th time of playing each other, there's an understanding of what personnel they've got. There's an understanding of how they're going to play.
Motherwell will probably feel they want probably one more result to make sure that they're safe. I think the work that they have done, particularly the performances at the top end of the pitch from Van Veen, has managed to take them away from the rest of the teams down there, including ourselves, and I think Stuart's done brilliant to oversee that. So we're expecting a tough game. We've had 3 tough games against Motherwell, although we've drawn twice and we've beaten them once. I feel as though Motherwell will come out the traps. They're at home. We expect a tough game, but equally I need Motherwell to expect a tough game for us. It's up to us to go and just show up and turn up and show what we did, a lot of what we did against St Mirren.
And Roger Hannah, this time of year, we mentioned it with the Championship last night, sometimes it can be cagey, it can be edgy, it can be nervy, and last night that just was not the case. I do wonder what you've got in store on that front. It strikes you as the type of fixture that could be, unless this new confident Dundee United side have other ideas.
Yeah, I wonder if they might have other ideas. I wonder if they're looking at that St Johnstone team hit by injuries again today, out of sorts, 7 without a win, and whether Jim Goodwin will just be rallying them in the dressing room just now to say, go out, we've got a full end of McDermott Park here, we've sold every ticket, let's go for 4 wins in a row, let's get survival in this Premiership as quickly as possible. And you see the form of Jamie McGrath, the form of Stephen Fletcher, the likes of Aziz Behic as well. They have players in form which perhaps St Johnstone don't have, and of course in goal they've got Mark Birighitti, who in his last meeting with Stevie May ended up bundled with the ball with May embarrassingly into the back of the net at Tannadice. Birigitti's probably due Jim Goodwin a performance this afternoon here at Perth.
Yep, looking forward to that one as well. Just getting pictures in from David Friel, a lovely big Kevin Van Veen banner over there in the East Stand. That looks like that's your old bedsheet they've used. You dangle that out the flat window last night. Bit of a brave man to touch those bedsheets, I'll tell you, but it looks magnificent. Kevin Van Veen there.
Who's the second top goal scorer at Motherwell?
Oh, honestly, David Friel, you got anything to offer on that? I don't know, is it Blair Spittle or something?
Come up with your stats man now, David.
I think it's Blair Spittle, but Google will be my friend, Gordon. I'll get back to you in 60 seconds.
The only reason I ask,
it won't be with many.
No, yeah, exactly. The only reason I ask is that he's done fantastically well, and he's lived with the burden on his shoulders like a top pro. But it's not good to be so reliant on one man. You don't have
to put a negative spin on everything, though. You could pick and choose and maybe do it like with 60% of the talking points in an afternoon rather than 100
and spoil an image.
Anyway, that is us. Your scene is pretty much set. You've got Hibs St Mirren in the top 6. You've got Motherwell, Killie, Ross County Livy and St Johnstone Dundee United in the bottom. I'd love to offer you championship football. I'd like to keep that league going, but it is done. It all finished last night. There are some interesting fixtures down the divisions. Who'll finish bottom of the entire pyramid? Albion Rovers are staring at it. Certainly they could drop out of the SPFL depending what happens in the near future. So there's a lot going on a Saturday afternoon, and we will be back with the 3 o'clock kickoffs next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins are in the studio. The 3 o'clock games are getting underway. Come on, you hopeless tipsters. What's the ACCA looking like in the top flight this afternoon?
I am going to go for Hibs to beat St Mirren at Easter Road, but it will be their last win of the season.
Right, okay.
Hearts, Aberdeen, Celtic and Rangers will beat them in every game that
Let's
follows.
go one prediction at a time. You've got enough trouble without forecasting the next month.
Motherwell will beat Kilmarnock, who are minus Kyle Vassell, and they will miss him. Ross County and Livy, although Livy might be thought to be on their holidays because there's nothing in it for them, I think they'll get a draw in Dingwall. And Dundee United will win at McDiarmid Park against St Johnstone.
Yeah, mixed bag for me. I'll go for a draw between Hibs and St Mirren. I think Motherwell will beat Kilmarnock. Ross County will get a much needed result against Livingston, and Dundee United will win away at St Johnstone also.
Hibs, Motherwell, Kilmarnock draw, Ross County home win, and the Tangerines on the road.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements. Buy now, pay nothing till 2024.
Let's get stuck in then. Saturday afternoon, cannot beat it. Lots of big games all around the place. And I mentioned that Kevin Van Veen banner. Hugh Keevins, very topical. It now says King Kev, born to reign over us.
Let's hope he doesn't end up a proper Charlie by the end of the day.
Nice one.
Definitely not your bed sheets that they've used for that, no? Over there in the corner.
No, too small. I'm very king size. It's just
I am very king size. Okay, whatever that means.
That's a single duvet one.
We're getting underway at Fir Park and all the other games around the place, so we'll keep you up to speed on anything that happens, because you're at that stage of the season, you're pretty much guaranteed that any goal that goes in is a big one. So I mean, the atmosphere already, Fraser Wishart telling us a standing ovation for both teams when they come out at Easter Road. It tells you just the way the fans feel about, you know, how important it is, and trying to spur their team on. Oh, for goodness sake, there's a delay at Fir Park because of Kevin Clancy's earpiece is not
such
working.
is the modern world.
So just get a Nokia. Just tuck it in the sock for emergencies. Phone your assistant. Just keep it on a permanent call.
Bluetooth.
And let the assistant know
Nokia
what you're thinking.
Never lets you down. It's like Willie Nelson at Glastonbury. Never lets you down.
He's gone. Kevin Clancy's gone. He's disappeared up the tunnel.
Yeah, he's away to get.
You get a walkie-talkie at Argos up the road. And
frustrating for the players because they've had their warm-up. They're out there. They're ready to go. You would think he would have that check before it comes out the tunnel.
Your old pal Roger Hanna's firing shots at you, though. He says that can't be your bedsheet they used for the Kevin Van Veen banner. It's more likely to be your hanky.
Oh,
Been that
the
size.
sniper's dreams come out with one, innit?
I was in there on Monday with him.
Right,
I like him. No, I like him as a partner.
I like him. Thanks for
Oh,
that.
you like him?
Like him as a
If
partner.
that had gone the other way, would you have just, was there an alternative?
I would have
to
been
that?
honest enough
What
to
do you
say I
fancy?
didn't like him. I
Just don't
didn't
like
feel
him.
comfortable, but no.
We're
very
going out.
strategy.
We're going out for lunch on Tuesday. The Rog and me
Wow.
and other old hacks. I'll let you know what
See
happens.
how we don't get an invite to that?
It's their own wee club.
Is it?
Yeah,
Old
you don't
hackers.
want to go and listen
You
to
called
that
me a
noise.
vulture earlier on.
Go right. Roger says it's Wednesday, not Tuesday.
Oh, right.
Don't
He-
get,
but
don't
he
get-
always turns up early
Don't
anyway.
get very exactly.
He'll be
that,
sitting
that
in
is
that
true.
cafe.
That is true. It's some difference for you though when you're going head to head on or you're teaming up on the teaser and the beat the pundit with Roger.
It's a joy to watch.
rather than Gordon
Hey,
Dalziel.
come on.
He didn't even take his phone out his pocket once.
Because Roger was in, you don't need to start that.
You
going
didn't
head
certainly
to
get
head.
answers like Roy Loy.
When you're a player, and
Roy
you-
Loy was
Big
the
Roy.
best dancer on this programme
these
so far.
Motherwell and Kilmarnock players dancing about trying to keep
Warm.
Yeah,
Nothing
I mean,
worse, you.
Yeah,
than that delay.
I would have a couple of hamstring, a couple of groin stretches, a couple of on the spots.
Couple of coffees at Tim Hortons behind the stadium.
Yeah, knees up to 10.
So what if they,
That is your reader. You used to love that in your day.
what if they can't fix his
He's
earpiece?
back. He's back. He's emerged from the tunnel like a rock star. Entering the stage to take centre stage. Oh, he's still not ready though. He's now
Surely the
fiddling
fans
about
are now
with
That's
giving him
a
a
nonsense.
his cables. So honestly, a lot of nonsense. Fans are raging apparently.
So it means that the Motherwell and Kilmarnock players will be aware late in the game because their game's going to be behind all day long now.
Yeah.
They'll be aware of what's going on at other places, and
If
that will
it-
add to the tension.
If it's a particularly bad day on the VAR front, Gordon Dalziel, you might end up having to have David Friel up for dinner.
That's not a problem. I'm quite happy with that. I like David. I like his company. I think he's a decent enough
Do a
lad.
bit of cooking. What would your dish of choice be if you were to cook
So I'm making some lovely pastas
for
in
David Friel?
I'm making some really
Right.
lovely
And what's,
pastas.
what's,
The
what's
easiest
lovely about
thing.
them? Boil the kettle.
No. The sauce. It's
salt.
all about the sauce, mate. It's
Right.
all about the sauce.
So which jar do you go for?
I don't go for a jar.
Make
It's
it
all
yourself, do you?
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. I watched TV the other day there. I was quite bored, and I seen this guy on. He says, "Look, this is the one for the 5-minute guys," and I'm a 5-minute
Right,
guy.
okay.
As you know,
I wouldn't trust any sauce. You made me.
fantastic. Little bit of mozzarella cheese in at the end there, just
okay.
thicken up. Oh, beautiful.
'Cause when I-
mascarpone.
Did Rangers not strike up some sort of partnership
Gordon
with
Ramsay.
Gordon Ram? You could have been in there this week.
Well, I think.
I mean, even you played more for Rangers than he did.
I think-
despite
Was that the
how
same
the
era?
story
Was
goes.
you? Was he at Rangers?
Gordon was. I think he was just round about that time. Yeah.
Do you remember him?
No, I was in the first team squad at that time. I didn't get into the resis, especially the dressing room. But it was great. I wonder what sort of a food he'll get.
Nice quick start at Easter Road, it has to be said.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
And the home side strikes first. Ellie Yuan, he's had a good season at times, some very impressive patches, not always involved maybe, but he started this one very quickly indeed. And the Hibs fans, that's exactly what they wanted to see this afternoon. They're a goal to the good. Hibs 1, St Mirren 0.
Well, the Hibs fans are hoping for a sequence of results, aren't they? Hibs win, Hearts loss. So it's a good start, but it's not the whole story.
I like you, and I think he's been a good addition. But a good point made before it by Fraser that McGeady, Boyle, and Nisbet, I was saying to Daz, are probably the best front three out with Celtic and Rangers if fit. And Ewan had to play second fiddle and wait for his opportunity. He's certainly taking it.
Yeah, poor throw to Marcus Fraser. Yuan robbed him, then ran through 1-on-1, low finish, and it hits the back of the net. Stephen Robinson will be furious, I'm sure.
Yeah, it certainly will be starting a game like that. We had Mark O'Hara in here the other week there, and I asked him, is he winding down a wee bit or thinking taking the foot off the gas? Not at all. So prep him towards this game.
Do you think Mark O'Hara's girlfriend sitting in the car outside Easter Road?
Yeah, probably.
In the motor, listening on the
Super
radio.
loud.
Like she was when he came on the show.
Yeah, I hope the VAR's not
Poor
late
girl.
today. I need about this car park for 6.
Right, Hugh, you ready?
Yep.
It's your big moment.
The first half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Simple, straightforward, and to the point. Tell me the last 6 players Rangers signed from another Scottish club, and that includes loan moves. Who are the last 6 players Rangers have signed from another Scottish club, including loan moves?
I like it. Your time starts now. Go at Clyde SSB on Twitter. Ideally, you want to get all 6 correct answers, put them on one single tweet, and fire it over to at Clyde SSB. That's how you win it. If you don't think you've got all 6, just chuck as many names as you can, and let's see how we get on this afternoon. Very interesting list, because you've heard of them all, I'm absolutely certain, but can you remember them in that time period? Don't want to miss any out. You need to get all 6. So at Clyde SSB, it's the last 6 Rangers have signed from another Scottish club, and it does include loans. It can't be too often that Rangers would loan a player from another Scottish club, but there must be some on that list. So get your thinking caps on and tweet us at Clyde SSB. I'm keen to see how you two do on that one in the studio. I'll decide. Let me see.
I get 4.
No. Rubbish.
No, the 3's correct. The first 3 are correct, 100%.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, do you know what?
No.
You've got a couple right, so I think you're doing okay. Motherwell 0, Kilmarnock 0. You've goalless at St Johnstone, Dundee United as well, and then Hibs against St Mirren. Hibs are 1 to the good in that one, so it's an interesting start, and we'll see how we get on. I thought Fraser had updated us again, but not quite yet. So remember, there was a delay at Fir Park. Kevin Clancy's earpiece apparently. See,
took
for
an age.
For a man of simple technological pleasures like yourself, to think that football games can be delayed because of the referee's earpiece.
I know.
It's one of the most important parts now with VAR, though.
They all get it wrong
because to be fair, I think even prior to VAR,
to communicate, of course, with his
but
assistants.
You're right. I mean, now it would be. And that would, the importance would be heightened. What a week it's been for the officials with Willie Collum out, injured or
anybody
ill, or
ever find out what was up with Willie
last week?
He
was 4th official for a little while, and then even dropped out of that as well.
That's Tommy problems all day, innit?
We've got another goal to tell you about. Tommy problems.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
From Tommy problems to Motherwell's second top scorer of the season, Hugh, it's Blair Spittle. He was joint with some of his teammates. He's now taken a great touch, a lovely finish. He's put Motherwell 1 up against Kilmarnock, and he is now outright in second behind Kevin Van Veen to answer your earlier question. Good start for the Steelmen.
Stuart Kettlewell owes me a bottle of red wine then, because I said it's wrong to rely on one player as heavily as Motherwell rely on Kevin Van Veen. They listened to my words, and Blair Spittle takes the question into his own hands, and it's a very good goal from him.
Yeah, he's crying out for it at the edge of the box. What is it they call it in the modern day speak, Mark? The counter press. You know, if you can win it back in an important area and transition or whatever it may be.
Oh, you've got it.
I'm asking you.
I don't know.
And when Furlong crosses it in, Spittle touch with the right foot, it sort of bounces up, and he manages to move his body and get the left foot finish across the keeper.
Good finish. You've got to say that Spittle's, I think, flourished since the change of formation. I think he likes playing the role he's in at the minute. It's a good first touch, manages to slide in and finish, and a good start for Motherwell. For Kilmarnock, from a defensive point of view, it's as bad as you would have seen last night in Queen's Park, Dundee, because their defence is wide open. Spittle's got plenty of space.
Tackle, is it? So it's actually a tackle that takes it through to Furlong, just to start an unnecessary argument. Is that a good first touch?
I don't think it's a good second touch, but it ends up in the back of net.
You're always picking on me for being negative.
We've got a long show ahead. Did you feel like it's stirring up some talk?
It's a goal, an important goal. The touch is good, and then the second touch is even better because it ends up in the net.
The second touch makes the first touch good.
No, you always you always know it's a good first touch because you've got the opportunity to put the ball in the back of net.
You deliberately touch it up to your own knee height, do you?
You could. Well, you just listen.
I just feel like arguing with you all.
As a scorer of many goals, I didn't always have the best first touch, and always ended up in the back of the net. So it's where the ball ends up.
I do feel like a bit thrown off. I can't believe an entire week has gone past. I've not shared this studio with you two.
Well, we've had some great times.
Mark Wilson was in on Monday.
I seen you Monday.
Was it?
You in on Monday?
See, it's been part time.
Well, you see,
I
long
was
week.
down in London helping collect the Station of the Year award. You see, no big deal.
Congratulations.
No big deal for us here. No, like you are all involved. Super Scoreboard is a vital part of it.
We had no part
local
to
station of the year for the entire of the UK at the biggest radio ceremony out there, radio and audio as it now goes.
I've listened all week, and it's elitism. You've been swanning around the flesh pots of London. Wilson has been playing golf with the former president.
I'm going to get
of the
to him
USA.
later. Don't you worry. I'm getting to
and
him
the poor
later.
old Dazzler and me are just left here, two grey-haired.
No. Listen, if you had to see how far the Clyde expenses stretched to our accommodation, I'm not sure you would be accusing me of sorry if the person that booked it's listening.
Was it the Savoy? Was it not?
No, not quite, just 1 or 2 tiers below. But anyway, honestly, you should be proud. What an accolade. Local station of the year, and you're a key component of it. I thought about you.
How have we won that?
I
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row as well.
Counting, but yeah.
Is now the
Going
time
for the
for
10.
a wage increase, do you think?
I think you're probably pushing it.
Let's negotiate that on air.
I would suggest. I had a bit of a tough time though, because this is something.
Would you do?
You'll appreciate this. I like to think I'm quite a low drama type. I don't get myself in too many sticky situations. So, some of your colleagues in here, right?
Yeah.
Safe to say they like to enjoy themselves.
Overindulge.
Right? That'd
Let's
be fine.
call it that.
And that's
Stephen Mill.
That's not really my scene. I'm there to be.
You're just
sensible.
a non-drinker, yeah.
And so as the night wore on, we've got the lovely shiny award, and it was unanimous. Well, Gordon, you look after that. You take it back to the hotel. You'll be going back to the hotel earlier than us, and you can get it safe passage up the road. So taking on the responsibility, tucked it under my arm, walked back to the hotel, and got a bit distracted. Went for a pizza because I was a bit hungry. Tummy problems, as you say, tummy rumbling. Got back up to my room, sitting on the bed, enjoying the pizza. Realised I don't have the award anymore.
No,
I've lost it. I've actually
No way.
seriously, I've lost this award. And see the thought running through my head of excuses. I'm thinking, what's the only excuse that's going to get me out of this? Tell them I've been mugged. Just tell them I've been
100%.
mugged. Punch myself in the face, and to say that someone stole the award off me. And I thought, I'll need to just go and retrace my steps. So I went back down, retrace my steps, and there it was, sitting on the bar. Just sitting where I had left it. Luckily,
Really? Oh, you're a
scooped
lucky
it up,
guy.
and I
See,
went
before
away.
you dashed down the stairs, did you finish your pizza?
The pizza was
That's the most
dynamite.
important.
One of those that had the sauce like in the crust.
Nice.
Not to
aye.
be messed with.
Yeah. Oh no, I can have done anything. I can have enjoyed that. When you
Would that bother you?
what's the
Imagine
award?
stick I would have got.
Seriously?
Absolutely.
That's a sacking job.
And do you want to know what's worse? Producer Dan that sometimes works on the
Aye.
show. He was there, he was involved in Pizzagate, and he texted me at 7:30 the following morning saying, I've got a funny feeling you left that award last night. I'm saying, yeah, you're only 7 hours too late. Thanks for reminding me.
As Bertie Auld used to say, never trust a teetotaler.
I know, honestly.
Especially a hungry one.
Yeah.
Well done and fine, Nick Gordon, and congratulations.
What would, just in case, what if you hadn't have found that? If somebody had just walked away with that, would you have rolled it about the bedroom?
Straight to the trophy centre.
Rolled
Would I
about
have
the
what?
yeah, thrown yourself off the bed.
Oh, right.
A few headbutts to
I
the.
wondered where you were going.
Yeah.
Straight back to the award ceremony. Listen, you must have spares, mate.
No, it's
You know,
it's engraved.
it's
though.
engraved.
Yeah.
Aye,
Perfectly
in the
engraved.
trophy centre. Get something printed up.
Someone had already dropped it though, and I saw it. They dropped
Who?
it. It's got a nice chunk out
Name-
the corner.
name names.
And
Who
I
was
thought,
it?
I better not get blamed. I'm not going to do that. But someone did drop it, and it's got a nice big chunk out the corner. That was not me.
Stephen Mill was telling us the other night how.
You better
how
not get
his,
him in, you better not get him in trouble.
How his night went.
3
Interesting.
days.
Motherwell very much on the front foot. Spittles now with a shot deflected wide. Slattery with a shot deflected wide. Kelly did offer with a shot from Robinson after a pass from Christian Doidge. End to end, says Roger Hanna. Remy Matthews has pulled off a save from Stephen Fletcher. And you have to imagine if Dundee United do want to make themselves safe, it's going to be largely down to Stephen Fletcher, or they'll be putting a lot of responsibility on guys like him and Jamie McGrath.
Yeah, certainly will be. Obviously 2 goal scorers, but Jim's changed 1 or 2 things in there. Niskanen coming back into the side, who gives you that kind of pace and drive and work rate as well. And Charlie Mulgrew back for injury. The experience, not had the best of seasons, Charlie, but I think he's rediscovered some of his form in the back line. So he's going to need both ends. Although you'll rely on goals to get you out there, could do a couple of clean sheets over these next few games.
Edge of the box for our recent friend of the show, the aforementioned Mark O'Hara, but he's volleyed over from the edge of the box as St Mirren look to get themselves back into it. Remember, that was the first goal of the afternoon. Ellie Yuan with the opener for Hibs. Blair Spittle followed for Motherwell.
One appearance in this programme and we've turned him into a dud.
He's a lovely lad, I've got to say. A lot of people out there I particularly don't like, but he's a lovely.
It's funny because I was going to say that. I feel like you're generally quite cynical.
Yeah, there are a lot of people I do not like in the sport.
We were having this chat in the office the other day, right? And I was asking him who would like to meet in the world, who would interest him. Nobody. So I went down the golf route. Nobody. Right, listen to this, Gordon, because you were present at this. And I said, well, what about a golfer? And I said, Gary Player. I said, remember we met him? What a nice guy. I see in hindsight, I don't like him. I said, but we were there. The guy couldn't be any nicer.
Nice. No, he was a top nuisance.
What do you mean he was a top nuisance?
Gordon, unless he's met him again after that.
Hold on a minute, I tried to introduce us as a team to him, right? Because you're thinking they're Gary Player.
No, but this sums you up. Why would Gary Player care who we are?
Well, I think Gary should care a lot because we were supporters of golf and we play golf and we're fans.
He could not have been nicer. He gave Mark Wilson an impromptu bunker shot lesson.
He said it doesn't like him. And I said to him, have you met him after that? Has he done so? No, it was just that time.
Well, what I will say is I thought some of his political views that he aired to us were interesting, but he could not have been nicer. You must be joking.
See, for the first 5 minutes I thought, yeah, you're a decent guy, right?
He was literally showing you his bunker stance.
Strike the match.
He was showing you his swing.
Strike the match. Honestly, and every time he gets in the bunker he's like, I'm going to strike the match.
And I tell everybody that story when I'm in a bunker.
Honestly,
you would have liked him, Hugh.
5 minutes, fine. You're thinking, oh, this guy, Gary Player, great to meet him. Oh, couldn't get.
But the moral of the story is he doesn't want to meet anybody. Nobody, any human wouldn't interest him on this earth to meet.
Nobody excites you to meet.
Oh, I've not got a bucket list who I want to go and meet. I don't really bother. You know what I mean? I've probably.
So what about like they say,
run about with the celebrity
dinner party? You were telling us that you cook nice pasta apparently. So you've got 3 people on this earth to have round for your dream dinner party. You couldn't fill the table. You couldn't fill your table for 4.
Well, MD can name big names, but I'd rather use boys come down. I could get ready to use earlier.
That's extremely low bar. That having us 3.
Set your sights a bit
straight
higher.
through work. Send it back to dinner. You could have anybody.
I know you 3 have to be home for Hugh. Be brilliant, right? Quite easy. Give him a bit of pasta, a couple of glasses of red. He's on a taxi. He's up the road by 8 o'clock. Right?
Doesn't like chocolate, so he's not going to raid your cupboards.
You'll come round, give you a couple of bits of pizza with your pasta. You're up the road. You don't drink. You're
trying to say that I
anyway.
eat a lot.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you scoff a lot. But the one I'd need to probably
I went to leave for 3
days. He'd be cuddled up on the side of the couch.
You're in trouble there. Not that we give an over amount of attention to goals that go in the English Premier League, but I just a chuckle when I saw Man City go 1-0 up on Leeds.
Yeah,
I just wonder if Pep has it in mind to give a sore one out to Big Sam. He's had a lot to say about his standing in the managerial game this week.
Big Sam deserves a going over for what he's had to say this week. 68 years old now. I'm the last person in the world who could be ageist. I'm 5 years older than old Sam, but he only got that job, I think, because Roy Hodgson, who's even older than me, has kept Crystal Palace up, and I've thought, right, we'll try an old guy. But he's made himself a laughing stock before a ball was kicked by saying he's as good as Klopp and Guardiola. That'll be the Klopp and Guardiola who both won the Champions League then, Sam.
I'll leave you out of this, considering you think you would enjoy playing in the City team alongside Erling Haaland, and it would suit you. So Mark Wilson, the more sensible answer. That was quite a good story this week, wasn't it?
It was, and I was thinking about it. I wonder if he did it to take the pressure, or try and take the pressure and limelight away from his players. But then, in reflection, I think he actually means it.
Yeah,
you know, he's that kind of guy who.
Did they not double down and say that he could guide City to the treble if he had that team or something along those lines?
And you know what, Pep Guardiola was asked about it,
maybe,
and Pep Guardiola agreed with it in terms of it's his knowledge and the older generation of managers that created the way for them. So I think he was being very diplomatic and nice about it, but probably within himself he's thinking what have you actually won as a manager, really? Compared
But he
to this
must have
trophy all that I've won.
Well, okay, Man City, Bayern Munich and Barcelona, fine, right? But you try winning the Champions League with Bolton. It's a difficult game. But he's got to have something to be in the game that long.
But the game, you say these things. Who is arguing that he doesn't have something? You just completely move the goalposts.
See the comment he's come out with, and I think you guys have to get off your high horse sometimes and just take a bit of a smile and take a laugh and just relax. That was probably just a throwaway statement just to wind people up.
Not sure.
I think that's in Sam's locker.
Kevin
I like Big
Van
Sam.
Veen, always involved in goalmouth action. He's got the ball in the back of the net, disallowed though, and it will be checked. Mikael Manderon squared it to him. Is it going to be number 28 for the season? We will find out. David Friel was it that seemed very confident that he would match. It was Michael Higdon that got the 28, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Van Veen's a few
Is
short
Van
of that
Veen on
at the
just
moment.
now, Gordon?
I think David said 25. I think he said needs 5 games to go.
He's got to get that,
he's
surely.
24.
Oh, he's
Where did Motherwell finish in the league that year? Was that the year they finished second
they were
in the
right
league?
up there,
I know where Higdon finished that year.
But you're thinking where the weighting goals, what's more impressive, Higdon finishing second or Van Veen playing in a team that was on way to relegation
Michael
trouble?
Higdon had some very good supply that season.
Van Veen was doing most of the groundwork himself.
Kevin Clancy's still checking that earpiece. He's just tapping it at the side just to make
but
sure
you do that
it's
because I
working.
do that in the gym. Tap 2 to put the volume up. 1 to change the song.
Have you got the old AirPods, have you?
Yeah, but
that's very
I
advanced
don't know
for
what
you.
it is about my lugs, right?
I'd imagine
I've
you
not
to
got
have
the
a
best
big
facial look in the world, right? My beak's quite
Got big features in
right?
you, actually.
And my lugs are quite big as well. But
They're long.
They're long, aren't they?
I've noticed that about
Do you
your
know
ears.
something? See when I'm drying.
Take those cans off to the side.
See when I'm drying the socks, I just hang my socks on my ears. I just
hang
walk
at the bottom of the ear. I've noticed it every week.
That's how I can't wear a earring.
I have never noticed before, right, of everybody that works in this radio station, your earlobes actually hang below these big headphones.
Hold on a minute. This is getting serious because we Shug's laughing in the corner.
He should still wear an earring because it'd be hanging down.
If I wore an earring, I would trip over it. Right. So I can't get ear.
That's remarkable because they don't stick out. They're very long.
So earpods fall out even when I'm out walking. So I've got to wear big things like that.
You could fit the noise cancelling headphones in your ears, I think.
I get a couple of speakers.
You've been saved by a man called Fish.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Will Fish, and it's Hibs that go 2-0 in front. Easter Road faithful are enjoying that. They're still checking this Kevin Van Veen goal, by the way.
Well,
and remember, this game already kicked off late. David Friel will be back at yours for dinner, but a great start for Hibs, Hugh.
Yeah, that's really. We had a great stat from Fraser before the game. Stephen Robinson has never won a game at Easter Road. Astonishing. Such a good manager at 2 different clubs, and he's on the way to another defeat here today. But I think Kevin Clancy at Motherwell, he tapped his earpiece and he went on to Greatest Hits Radio, and that's been the problem.
I mean, that's at least. And there must be even serious issues with where to plot the lines, or maybe something in the build up, because you know it's not always clear. It might be something the attacking phase of play is, or something in the build up. You might need to check
it is
a
a
few things.
ridiculous length
But we
of
are.
time.
Well, I think we're now we're approaching certainly 4 minutes or so now on this Kevin Van Veen goal. So just give it, for the voice. Just give it.
I'm going to be back in the house before this is finished tonight.
Need to get better at that. I know we've got our problems with VR. Everybody moans about it, but we need to reduce the time in these decisions.
No goal after all
that. Yeah.
There we go. Don't forget there are other games down the divisions, but a lot of the places are tied up, if you like. You look at Dumbarton; they missed out on winning that league, didn't they? It's League 2. And a Peter Grant own goal has Stranraer one up at Dumbarton. Falkirk trying to finish the season strongly. Peterhead are finished bottom already, so it's Peterhead 0, Falkirk 1, and there's your Man City 2, Leeds 0.
I think Sam's going to get what's coming to him today.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. So still Motherwell 1-0 up then. That Kevin Van Veen goal doesn't stand after a very, very lengthy chat. A bit lengthy check, sorry.
Well, St Johnstone Dundee United is the one that most fascinates me today, but still goalless. St Johnstone, if they lose today, welcome to the dogfight, because they'll really be in it if they'll get a home win.
Mentioned that the other week there, Gordon, with the crowds. You know, St Mirren selling at their allocation at Easter Road. Dundee United the same. And McDermott Park shows what fans think of these post-split fixtures.
I did say sometimes it's just worth bearing this in mind. I'm looking at the way Motherwell have tweeted this. They don't sound sure, so I'm not presenting this as gospel, but what I'm just trying to underline is it's not always as easy as we think it is from the outside. So Motherwell have tweeted that after a bizarre 5 minutes, there was a lengthy VAR check, firstly for a possible red card and then an offside. That's according to Motherwell. Now, I don't know if somebody's just pressed the wrong button and that's what's given them the impression that there was a red card check first. But that, again, that's what everyone said, isn't it? That the communication needs to be there.
We should get to a stage sometime in the future, maybe not next season, but maybe the following year, where we're able to hear what goes on. Maybe not live. I mean, I don't see why there's any reason we shouldn't, because rugby do it. But maybe in retrospectively on the Monday or whenever, we might hear why referees have came to a certain decision and what they were chatting about. The audio being released would be helpful. So I think we'll get there sometime. It's the only way to kind of evolve this and take it forward and make the fans more included in it.
That's exactly what we need. Is everyone spending 6 months poring over every single word that's been. What did he mean by that? Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said there?
Hold on.
What did he mean by that word?
That's better than not knowing what's been said.
That's not going to happen.
I think I don't necessarily
think the opposite.
No, I'd love it, but be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Have you forgotten how mad we are? Like I said, it would imagine the refs in the heat of battle in a stressful situation doing their best to communicate with each other. They would be getting hung up for all sorts that they'd mentioned.
We are so
bring
mad.
it on, that would be good for us.
We are so mad. We had an under-18 Youth Cup final between Celtic and Rangers that could not have a crowd at it because it was too dangerous.
Queen of the South, the Palmerston Pips, he's trying to finish the season strongly. Queen of the South 2, Kelty 0. Rory Payton, one of the nominees for League One Player of the Year. It sounded, we actually had a Queen of the South caller the other night, asking Marvin if Rory Payton was going to leave, ultimately being one of the nominees.
You wasn't asking Martin.
It's certainly
Did you not mean that? Nice.
I gave it the old politician's answer, but
we're doing everything in our power to
keep
me
like
him.
Rory Payton was going elsewhere. But there we go.
He has been impressive. Seems to be always the one that pops up on the score sheet.
Dumbarton have equalised. What's your teaser here?
I've got a cracker on that. I'll get the loan player.
Name the last 6 players Rangers have signed from another Scottish club. This includes loan moves. Who are the last 6 players to have signed from Rangers from another Scottish club?
Okay, let's try and get some wrong ones out the way if we can. People doing very well. Lemon Curry wants to go for John McLaughlin.
No, don't.
Okay, don't do it. Don't do it.
Daz has got one, Gordon. See if this is right.
Let me see. Hold up your paper, please.
Hurry
up, quick.
I spelt it wrong.
Oh, I know that. That's a given.
Hold on.
Oh, yes, that's a good shout from you. Very good.
So what's your problem?
Reese wants to go for Ryan Jack.
No, don't.
JB's got some interesting names. I think his time is just a little bit off. He's gone for the likes of Billy King.
Not there.
Michael O'Halloran.
No.
Greg Docherty.
No.
So just a bit off on the time. So keep your guesses coming, please, to them at Clyde SSB. Clash of heads between Mark O'Hara, friend of the show, and Jake Doyle Hayes, former St Mirren player. Jake Doyle Hayes is coming off with a cut head. Josh Campbell is coming on. A 4-minute stoppage there. So there's going to be a delay to that one at Easter Road. There's been a Kilmarnock free kick. There is going to be a Kilmarnock free kick, 28 yards out. Let me see your list of answers on that teaser, please, Hugh. Has it been amended? There was a steward's inquiry that we launched into one of them, so we need to get a look at that. Kelly going to try and convert from this free kick, get themselves level. Anything else going in down the leagues? I told you about Dumbarton's equaliser. Former Motherwell player Liam Donnelly takes the free kick against his former side, sees it blocked there. So it will stay Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0. It stays Hibs 2, St Mirren 0 after that clash of heads. and nothing St Johnstone Dundee United. I did say to Roger Hannah, or I asked him if it would be tight and nervy and cagey and all the words that you use.
Park's always like that.
Never a good game. Yet to see a good game or be involved in a good game at McDermott Park.
I think it's just the surroundings. And yet, I don't know.
Perth, the full of Perth.
Even when I played there in
Tesco next door if you need, if you need any supplies. But other than
yeah,
that,
so there. I played there in the League Cup semi-final.
It goes under the radar a little bit that St Johnstone are trying to sell the club. I mean, Stephen Brown and his dad Jeff Brown, they're trying, and they have apparently American buyers. But which division are you selling them? And that's why it's important that they don't lose today, don't slip down any further, because the price you will get for the club would be slashed if you're in a lower league.
They need another result.
Yeah.
And they need one quickly, Hugh, just to take a bit of pressure off, because there are a few clubs breathing right down their necks now.
And you're talking about Dundee United today, going there looking for 4 wins on the bounce, and St Johnstone downward spiral for them,
for both clubs. So looking at next year, you're talking about St Johnstone up for sale, Dundee United, of course, American owners, but both sets of coaching staff don't know if they're going to be there next season. True. So it could be a total clear out from both. Obviously Jim Goodwin's sitting nice just now, 3 wins on the bounce. If he saves them, you'd like to think he would get the job.
Yep.
But Stephen McLean sitting there unknown, so we could have a whole host of new managers in our Premiership next season.
We've seen it across the footballing world, but if we're focused on our own part of it, manage clubs rolling the dice late on, trying to change things. Wonder how that last, it's almost a fortnight now, isn't it, Stephen McLean's had because of the Scottish Cup games last week. I wonder if that was useful at all, if he felt like, because it's not often in the heat of an end of season that you're going to get time to actually get players on the training field and try and implement ideas.
Yeah, and I just wonder how effective that is, though, when it's the assistant manager who's already been there, who's taking control. Okay, he'll have his own ideas. I think it's slightly more effective when you've got a new face coming into the club, and trying new ideas maybe, because you wonder if it'll be a bit samey. Time will tell. The result will tell today. Again, to mention Jim Goodwin, took a wee bit of time, but you hear from some of the players how hard they are working behind the scenes, almost like a mini pre-season. They're getting battered, but he's getting results. So that was different from what Fox was serving up. I just wonder if it worked for St Johnstone. Brave move, but like I say, time will tell.
It's the new trend. We'll talk about Sam Allardyce earlier. Frank Lampard brought in by Chelsea, trying to avoid 7 defeats in a row today, which would be equaling a club record that you don't want. So they all try it, this last throw of the dice thing, and Stephen McLean comes into that category.
I mean, down south seems even worse. They're sacking interim managers and all sorts. Sean Goss has been booked for a pull on Scott Robinson as Kelly try and get back in it. The Palmerston Pep, they are pegged back now. Kelty Hearts, Queen of the South 2, Kelty Hearts 1.
One of your wrong choices for this is back in the game, Dazzler. That's all I can tell you.
Listen, how can they keep up with us? If we're getting the right answers, we're striking them off, and then you're asking us to put it back in.
We need the right information. Come on.
Anyway, you get the right information at half time.
Still no more goals then to tell you about in Scotland. It's gone a bit quiet, gone a bit slow there on the goal scoring front. Hopefully that picks up. Ross County Livingston, incidentally, huge as well in its own right, and again goalless there. This just comes down to Mark Wilson, I suppose. That usual sort of debate about what you've got to play for. I mean, Livy, very little, but we saw it last night. Raith Rovers, the only team in the league with nothing to play for, draw with Partick Thistle. It's not unheard of. I don't think David Martindale is necessarily the type that would allow his players to down tools, but then again, can you stop it? Is it subconscious?
Look, it can work both ways. You could get players who do switch off, or you can get players who play relaxed and become a more dangerous animal to face. That often players, when they're relaxed, they sometimes nothing to lose and play better. I don't think David Martindale will be standing with his flip-flops on the side though. You can't imagine him being a quiet, kind of retiring sort into the last 5 games.
If you've gone all that way, Mark, from West Lothian to Dingwall, you might as well go and enjoy yourself, have a good game of football.
Go to Wimpy with Dave Galloway when you're up there. Speaking of noisy managers, what about Owen Coyle last night? The unforgiving nature of TV coverage at a ground like Oakville View. I was trying to get to sleep last night, and I thought someone was telling me to track my runner.
he did love that
Go your
shout.
man.
He loved that shout. And it was only us that was paying attention, because some of his defenders weren't paying attention. Some of the goals they lost, but Owen's always been like that. I mean, I was lucky enough to play with him at Dundee United and had a good relationship ever since. I was gutted for him last night.
Imagine him in the house, can you? He's so enthusiastic. His wife
He's a great guy, yeah.
goes up to go to the bathroom. Go your man, go your man.
Milk and two.
No,
Man
no,
on,
no,
man
no.
on.
Listen, I know Kerry. She's the boss.
But you just wonder, maybe at 5 minutes before kick-off, sit everyone down and say, here's what we'll do. Always go with your runner until I tell you not to do that.
Yeah. I mean, he must get home and his voice must be shredded to pieces.
But to be fair, when you're, no disrespect, but when you're
trying to say championship players don't listen, is that what's coming here?
I think sometimes they find it very hard to take in the information at times and retain it. And I think as a manager, you've got to remind them quite often.
That's coming from a man who played in the championship for a long time.
Yeah, well,
consecutive winner of championship player of the year.
Yeah, but I was
were you a level above? Were you?
I was a level above. Yeah, I was a natural. I was just a young guy that had too much success too quickly and fell off the rails.
You sound like Rick Astley.
I was let a train. I found my way back on the tracks, and I went forward, and I had a good career at the end. So, you know, I can understand.
I was like a train.
By the way, some of the things he comes up with is poetic sometimes and makes sense.
Now you know why he
a
can't.
Delayed ScotRail train.
Now you know why you can't get 3 people to join him on Come Dine With Me.
I just got everything too quickly.
Well, it was this week, of course. We got the shortlist for this season's PFA Championship Player of the Year. Fraser Wishart's big do is not too far away, and you're always very proud of your speech. You tell us it was a cracker, but it was before. You know, and nobody can remember that far back.
Well, I'd obviously mistakenly worn the same suit as you do every year.
Yeah, sounds like a genuine mistake.
Come on, and then I pulled out my speech and I realised it was a speech the year before. Nobody wanted to hear that. They rip that up and start again. You know, so it's just one of these. It's a wonderful
I think you'd have a rival. I think if Dom Thomas wins it this year, he's a bit of a talker.
Yeah. Is he?
It's hard to shut him up. He was on the show the other night. He listens all the time. I think he could
I'd
rival
buy a
him.
ticket to hear Dom's acceptance.
He's got a bit about him.
If he doesn't want it, tell me, come round my house and I'll show the two I've got nines.
I thought you binned all your trophies.
Well, I've
thought
no
on the
trophies.
skip.
Oh, they're well gone. The medals are away. They're away in the bed. Maybe that's my sheet.
I think he's got a bit about him. I think that could be.
Is he quite lively? Is he?
Yeah.
That was the highlight of the whole awards too. I know Fraser will not want us to say that,
it's
but
not such a.
The lower league presentations are brilliant.
It's not a speech.
They do get carried away,
does
doesn't
it? No, it's more. Is it not more of a Q&A with the host? I think you would say
it's more of a mumble sometimes, because some of them have been.
But you know what I mean? They don't just stand there and, like the Football Writers Awards, Hugh. That's more of a speech. You've prepared something. You stand. I think Fraser's do is more of a kind of back and forward.
Roger will testify that they demand a high standard of behaviour at the Football Writers do, but Fraser treats us with such respect that his do is infinitely better.
Oh, listen to this guy trying to get a free glass of wine.
You must not have a table in Sport Writers.
I take it you're not going along.
The guy's only been a member of the Sport Writers Association for about 75 years, and he stabs his pals in the back like that for a free glass of wine.
You are brilliant.
Shameless.
That's the way to do it. Get right in about them.
Shameless.
Listen, they won't be able to find me.
Because you'll be home at 9:30. We Albert Craig will we can chase all in the hall. Albert, you ready to go? You ready to go? Sure, I've not had my starter. Doesn't matter.
There's a distinct lack of action here for me to tell you, but in case you couldn't guess, by the way. Oh, here we do get one of these though in the Premiership, and that could be a big one.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Ross County 1, Livingston 0. Alex Iacoviti at a time when Kilmarnock are losing. That is exactly what Malky Mackay needs. Remember, a reversal of that, a win for Killie, a defeat for Ross County. You could be talking about proper relegation damage done today, so they need something like this. And as things stand, as that annoying phrase goes at this time of the year, still a lot of football to be played today, but that would move Ross County to within 1 point of Kilmarnock at the bottom.
That's what the split's all about, to create this kind of tension that grows week upon week. And Derek McInnes, the Kilmarnock manager, will be aware now that Ross County have gone a goal to the good. So, in the immortal words of the greatest manager of all time, it's squeaky bum time.
Hugh actually talked me out that this afternoon. I told him in the studio, in the office before we come in, I fancied Ross County, but he says no, they've not got Brophy playing today.
They're not over the line yet.
Yeah, I know, but I said during the week, if Ross County do lose today, I'd discard them. I would say they're definitely gone. I was waiting to tonight at 5 o'clock to decide if they're still going to be in this relegation to get out the battle, and if they get 3 points, they're certainly in a good place to get out it.
Well, just a few minutes to go before the break. Can County hang on to that one, or do Livy have other ideas? Birigitti's made a save from Carey. St Johnstone's starting to come into that one up there in Perth, so we'll see what Roger Hannah has to say for us at half time. There's been a fair bit of action between Motherwell and Kilmarnock. Kevin Van Veen's had a shot blocked. Remember, the Steelmen are 1-0 up, but David Friel's due to finish about just before midnight, I think, because it kicked off late. There was the longest of VAR checks. There was then some treatment for Dan Casey, so I don't think we're anywhere near half time on that one. So stand by for David Friel.
Well, I tell you, the last 6 players to have signed for Rangers from another Scottish club.
I suppose. Let me give it the big dramatic build up.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
The last 6 players Rangers signed from another Scottish club.
Let me interrupt you, Hugh. Sorry, we'll do it again in a second because we've got a big one of these to tell you about.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Every goal's big at this time of the season, but St Johnstone have taken the lead. Liam Gordon, it was a shot after Stevie May missed his kick, a long throw from the left. Roger told us, he said they were coming into it. That could be huge at the bottom, because remember, going into today, St Johnstone 2 points clear of Dundee United, but many people fancy them to get dragged in. This could change everything. St Johnstone 1 up just before the break.
Well, it is huge because we're chatting about Ross County and Kilmarnock, but of course that's the exact same for Dundee United. Now that they're 1 down, a lot of football to be played, but a big goal.
Right, Hugh, we'll cut the dramatic music this time. Just tell us the question and the answers, and I'll tell you the winner.
The last 6 players Rangers signed from another Scottish club, including loan moves, are, and the timeline is: Glenn Kamara came from Dundee in 2019. Jordan Jones came from Kilmarnock in the same year. Jake Hastie also came from Motherwell in 2019.
Just sorry, at this point Mark and Gordon have got none, but keep going.
Right. Florian Camberry, a loan signing from Hibs in 2020. Scott Wright came from Aberdeen in 2021. And finally, John Suter came from Hearts last year.
Well done if you got them all right. Terrible in the studio, only 3 from Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel. In case you didn't know already, lots of you with far better knowledge, because loads of you got it right. The quickest were Wee Scooch in 3rd place. Paddy B was the 2nd fastest, and WB7291 is the winner of the first half teaser. Well done to you. We've got a good Who Am I had a wee look at it in the office. A good Who Am I for you after the break, so stand by for that one. Get your thinking cap on. Remarkably, Gordon Dalziel somehow is quite good at the Who Am I's, so we'll see how he fares this afternoon. Half-time whistles going down the divisions. Wow, these sound like end of season games. 4-4-0, East Fife 0, Alloa 0, Dunfermline 0. Not a great deal going on there.
So this afternoon, in fairness to the guys in the Premiership, this afternoon is beginning to resemble last night in the Championship, because take away the answer you first thought of. We had Ross County perhaps in trouble. They've gone a goal up. St Johnstone, could they be in the dogfight? They've gone a goal up. So all the tension is there.
Yeah, I mean 5 games to go, of course, in the Premiership, so no time to take your foot off the gas for most of these teams. If you're interested, Mark Wilson, I know you're desperate. You've still got the tracksuit. You're desperate for Brecon.
How's your game go?
To come through the playoff and try and get back into the SPFL where they quite rightly belong. They have just equalised against Spartans on the day, so it's 1-1.
That's good.
Which means Spartans lead 2-1 on aggregate. So as a reminder of how this works, just in case you've forgotten, Spartans won the Lowland League, Brecon won the Highland League. They now play in the playoff. This is the second leg. If it stays this way, Spartans will progress to the final, where they will play the team that finishes bottom of League 2. That will be Albion Rovers, unless Albion Rovers win today and Bonnyrigg Rose lose. So we'll keep an eye on that one, because it's always just quite interesting to see who drops out of the pyramid altogether, especially Albion Rovers, who've been in it for a long time. Bonnyrigg Rose have only recently entered that pyramid, so could be a tense afternoon.
Yeah, that is huge for a club like Albion Rovers. You say rightly, Gordon, it's just such a staple, the league system. But that's the argument, that teams like that have remained in for years and years, and these progressive teams. Yeah, so
would you like to see your old team back there?
No, who?
Brecon, yeah.
Back up? No, the team that deserves it, I think, will
be
worthy winners.
It was a lot of hard work to get them into the Highland League, but would you not like to see them back?
Well, I didn't play my part in that. I left them securely in League 2. So whatever happened after that happened.
Fraser Wishart says there's 3 minutes added, 3 minute stoppage time for the 4 minute stoppage that they had. Come on, you Fraser, stop being a hypocrite. You're always moaning at how much is added on. The referee's looked after you. He's cut a minute off to get you up the road. You're still not happy, even if it is lacking in accuracy. But there we go.
As things stand, bottom 3 separated by 1 point.
Half time at McDermott Park. Roger Hannah.
St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0. You're in bother in the bottom 6 after the split, Gordon. Who do you look to for a bit of salvation? The club captain, and it's Liam Gordon who has produced the only goal of this Tayside derby in the first half. United started the brighter after 3 straight Premiership wins. On form Stephen Fletcher tested the palms of St Johnstone goalkeeper Remy Matthews after 11 minutes. St Johnstone, of course, still rocking after losing Ryan McGowan, David Witherspoon and Conor McLennan to injury before the game. Took them a little while to get going. James Brown sclaffed a shot wide after 15 minutes, but it was United in the first half hour who looked the more likely to get the breakthrough. Ian Harks had a header from Aziz Behic's cross, saved by goalkeeper Matthews after 18 minutes. Kieran Freeman then bus cleared on the right, only for his deflected effort to fly off target. St Johnstone really were a slow burner in the game. They almost caused their own downfall. Gold captain Gordon, he was robbed by Omari Niskanen. They had to get back and recover just to clear the danger before Niskanen could get a shot in on Matthews' goal. But the longer the half went on, they grew into it a bit more and more. Stevie May had a snapshot blocked by Loy Kaina, and then goalkeeper Mark Berighetti, he pushed out an angled drive by Adam Montgomery. Steve McLean, the St Johnstone caretaker, was still searching for his first win as manager after a 7-game winless run for the Saints. Winless at home since last November, remember. Berighetti, he then pushed away another effort from Graham Carey after 37 minutes as Saints really pushed for a breakthrough, and it came 43 minutes, a long throw in from Andy Considine wide on the left hand side. United and goalkeeper Berighetti just failed to deal with it completely. May should have scored. He had a fresh ear swipe at it, but the ball fell invitingly for centre back Gordon up for the set piece, and he slammed a low right foot drive past Berighetti into the corner of the net. Just what Saints needed. They're ahead in the derby. St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0.
Interesting start to that one. What about Easter Road with Fraser?
Hibernian 2, St Mirren 0. Been very comfortable for Hibs to deserve to be in front, but how poorly St Mirren have played at times. Stephen Robinson will be furious at the 2 soft goals they've lost and just their general play, which has been very slack. Ellie Ewan and Will Fish with the home side's goal. With a very slack start by St Mirren, causing themselves real problems more than Hibs Hibs play. It was slack passing. Almost allowed Nisbet through on goal on a couple of occasions, but then the 4th minute came the opening goal. Really poor from their perspective. You could look at Stephen Robinson, who was jumping up and down in fury at the side of the park. Charles Dunn had a throw in just inside the Hibernian half. He tried to throw it to Marcus Fraser on the other side of the park in the middle of the centre circle. It bounced awkwardly, it wasn't thrown hard enough, it bounced up, and as Fraser hesitated, didn't know whether to go to the ball, whether to wait for it. Ewan nipped in, robbed him, and ran through unchallenged from almost the halfway line. 1-1 of the goalkeeper, really good finish by the striker, low past Carson. First chance for St Mirren was in 11 minutes. Mark O'Hara with a volley, a bouncing ball from the edge of the box just over the bar. I didn't quite catch it, but it was awkward for Mars when it almost sneaked in, just settled it on the top of the net. Kevin Nisbet then tested Carson for a low 20-yard free kick, comfortable save for the goalkeeper, but it was 2-0 on the 24th minute. On the right hand side, an in-swinging Joe Newell corner. Paul Hanlon went to attack it at the near post. He missed it, and the ball bounced up in the air and then to the back post, and Will Fish came running in to head past Carson into the net. Really good effort by the St Mirren goalkeeper, but the ball ended up in the side net. It was actually a good finish by Fish because the ball came at him very, very quickly. There was a stoppage for 4 minutes, a bad head clash. O'Hara and Doyle Hayes, Hibs man, had to go off and replaced by Josh Campbell. But it's Kevin Nisbet, always dangerous, used his strength to hold off Gallagher. Shot from 20 yards again, counter save by Carson. Then it's Campbell, the sub, tried his luck from distance, a left foot shot again, good save by Carson. Strain did the same for St Mirren from 25 yards in a rare St Mirren attack, but little to be seen by the Saints attacking force. Curtis Main becoming openly frustrated at the poor crossing from either wing. And then just before half time, Chris Cadden missed kick from 6 yards. Really good move down the right hand side. Excellent Kevin Nisbet cross into the 6 yard box, and somehow Cadden managed to just sclaff the ball to the back post. But Ellie Ewan picked it up, and his shot was saved by the feet of Carson from about 8 yards. Campbell then fired over from 8 yards. Gogic did just enough to put him off, as St Mirren just hung on to make sure at half time it was Hibernian 2, St Mirren 0.
Big game that one at Easter Road. Big result potentially coming for Hibs and Lee Johnson. Now you know that a game is running on a bit when we have to take the break and then give you the half-time report. That is the script at Fir Park. We'll speak to David Friel next.
The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half-time whistles have gone around the country for the most part, still playing at Fir Park. It was delayed because of Kevin Clancy's earpiece. There was then a very long VAR check. There was an injury. They added on 5 minutes. David Friel felt it should have been 7. They only added on 5, and then within the 5, Callum Slattery went down injured as well. So it is almost 3 minutes to 4, and still the half-time whistle has not gone there at Fir Park, which is quite remarkable. Give us your quick thoughts on the other two games that we have heard from.
I'm doing my as things stand table, and at the moment Ross County would go on to 30 points, putting them just 1 point behind Kilmarnock and Dundee United as things stand. And as things stand, St Johnstone would go on to 36 points, and that would be very, very good for them. So Dundee United, Kilmarnock, Ross County, they're the three in trouble.
Yeah.
As things stand.
Huge scorelines at both ends of the table, because I know we're concentrating on the relegation battle. It's right in our faces. But Hibs winning at home against St Mirren, they're looking upwards. They are looking towards Hearts, and like you mentioned, they would fancy Hearts to get beat tomorrow.
Finally, half time at Fir Park. Let's speak to David Friel.
Finally indeed, Gordon, half time. Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1, and Motherwell are shown they aren't just a one-man team. It isn't just about Kevin Van Veen or King Kev, as Motherwell fans said. Blair Spittle has grabbed the only goal of the game so far to give them a deserved lead. Spoke before the game about Motherwell's second top scorers only having 4 goals. Well, Spittle is now out on his own with 5 after a good strike to put Stuart Kettlewell's side in control. Motherwell have been good, they have deserved it. Kelly not so much. There was a delay to kick off, as you said, due to a problem with Kevin Clancy's earpiece. Motherwell wasted no time when we did start opening the scoring inside 4 minutes. Good pressing led to space down the left for James Furlong. He showed great composure, picked out Spittle with a low cross. The Motherwell midfielder took a touch with his right and then found the bottom corner with his left. Really good goal. Motherwell had all the early pressure. Spittle had a shot deflected wide, as did Callum Slattery after a well worked corner. Kevin Van Veen then had the ball in the net midway through the half when he converted Mikael Mandron's low cross, but that was disallowed finally after a 5-minute VAR check, with the assistant ref Mike Roncon also looking at a potential red card for a Sean Goss tackle on Alan Power. It was no goal and no red card. We played on eventually. Motherwell have been a better team, but Kelly Half and some glimpses of goals. Scott Robinson in for Kyle Vassell. He fired wide from a decent position, should probably have done better. Danny Armstrong, who's been the biggest threat as usual, also curled a free kick off the base of the post. So it's fair to say Motherwell are well in control, and with Ross County winning, Kelly really need to produce something special in the second half to turn this around. Half time, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0.
Second half's coming up next.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Jaguar. Approved used Jaguar I-Pace now available with up to £3,800 deposit contribution, plus a complimentary smart home charger, 2 years approved used warranty and more, worth £1,500. League leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Let's get into the serious stage of the season. We've got the Championship already finished. Leagues 1 and League 2 finished today, and the Premiership enters the post-split fixtures. It's all happening. Let's go back to Easter Road, where Hibs lead St Mirren by 2-0. How disappointed will Stephen Robinson be, Fraser? You think about the joy of getting into the top six, but that in itself was a disappointment on the day as well, and he won't want this to turn into a bad run of results.
No, especially if they lose today and they don't pick up their game. They will absolutely lose this game today. Then of course they've got all the top four to play after this, so it could be a tough end to the season for St. if they don't pick up their form. They've been really poor. I mean, really just their own mistakes. When you see the first goal, your head in your hands, you can see why Stephen Robinson was furious. Just a slack throw into the centre circle, not getting enough on it. Marcus Reed doesn't know when to come to it, to wait for it. And it's Ewan, and he literally runs through on his own, one-on-one with the goalkeeper from the halfway line. I mean, it was just a ridiculous goal. But even just in general play, though, there was lots of players trying to switch the play, getting cut out in the middle of the park. Really poor from St Mirren. On top of the 2-0 defeat a couple of weeks ago against Kilmarnock. They've just the last couple of games, their form has just really dropped off a cliff. And Hibs are comfortable. They could have had 2 or 3 more. They've had a few half chances. They haven't been brilliant, but they're 2 up, and they're very comfortably 2 up.
We said before, you've got Hibs on the brink of actually what could be a very good season. You would expect Hearts to lose tomorrow. It's not a given, of course. Celtic didn't get it easy, far from it, when they went there earlier in the season. But if they could close that gap to just 1 point this weekend, it really would be game on in that portion of the table.
I mean, Aberdeen are beginning to pull away, and you would imagine that they will get that third place. But if Hibs are to get above Hearts, then they've got all the bragging rights for the start of next season. So I think they will go on and win this game. St Mirren don't really have too many options on the subs bench because of the injuries we've spoken about of Ayunga and Watt. They were supposed to be the sort of 2 of the 4 strikers, but Greaves not really been in the game much. Curtis Main hasn't done much at all. At the other end, Kevin Nisbet's looked very sharp. He looked very strong. He's not quite got his shooting boots on. He's a couple of half decent strikes, but just in general play, he's looked strong. He's looked powerful. He's held off Gallagher as well. Ewan's a threat on the left hand side. Cadden playing further forward on the right from his right back position that he usually has back to his own Motherwell sort of wingers days as well. It's been decent, but you're right. For a season that at times has looked as if it could go all pear-shaped, Hibs are on the verge of doing something quite big if they can get the 3 points today.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Nisbet obviously feeling the heat, had to swap his long sleeve shirt for a short sleeved version during the game. Fraser, you've got to look after these things, small details.
All very important. I was shaking my head thinking, what is he doing? Because it was a free kick right on the edge of the circle outside the box, and he was taking it, and the referee was, I think somebody taking a knock, and the referee was speaking to him, and he ran off to change his shirt to go back on and take it, and he had it straight at Trevor Carson, not Scott Carson. So yeah, all very bizarre. I don't quite get the modern day football player, but that's probably a good thing because I'm just getting too old.
Well, I was going to say, although you would think the head of PFA Scotland would get the modern day player, but he's got staff that do that for him, I think, does Fraser Wishart. Are we underway yet at McDermott, Roger Hannah?
Yeah, good to go again. Just about a minute in, St Johnstone leading by the goal to Liam Gordon just 3 minutes before the break. Gordon, match just settling down into the second half.
Well, there we are, St Johnstone with what could be a crucial goal before the interval there. Let's get these second halves properly up and running. We've got a while to go yet, though, I think, David Friel at Fir Park.
Yeah, probably another 10 minutes, I think, Gordon. I mean, the players are out warming up just now, all the subs playing keep ball, etc, but no, I don't see any sign of the players or Kevin Clancy. He'll be in tapping that earpiece, seeing if it's working for the second half.
I'm sure he will. What will Derek McInnes be doing, though?
I think he just needs more from his players. I spoke earlier about Kyle Vassell and how much they would miss him, and I think it's been we've seen that in the first half, and I don't think they've really tested the Motherwell defence anywhere near enough. So Danny Armstrong hit the post, and they did have that Scott Robinson chance, but Liam Kelly, barring a few punches, hasn't really had much to do, and I think that'll be Derek McInnes' message. Just test the keeper a bit more. You've got good pitch here, good surface, you've got wide open spaces, just be a bit more ambitious. And I think, given the fact Ross County are winning, if Kelly can pick something up here, it could be pretty crucial. So I think he'll need a lot more in the second half. I'm just looking at the options he's got off the bench. I don't know whether it's a day for Jordan Jones, Liam Polworth, guys in attacking scenario could maybe make an impact. Young Bobby Wales, young striker with a lot of potential going forward as well. So I think he's going to have to do something, because right now Kelly don't really look like cutting Motherwell open anywhere near enough.
Liam Polworth scored a stunning strike against his former team earlier this season. I know it's a different Motherwell team these days, David, but you'll remember that they were 2-0 up against 10 men with 20 minutes to go, and Kelly actually came back and drew 2 each. Maybe something in there for the players to cling on to, having been there and dug something out earlier this season.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's far from over. Kelly just need to improve, and as you said, that was one of the games earlier on in the season where people are thinking, Motherwell going to go down, if you can't hold on to a lead when you've got a man advantage and all that. But as I said, I just think Killie need a spark. You know, Danny Armstrong has been good. Rory McKenzie north side. I don't really think that's a role that suits him left wing back. You know, I just wonder whether you maybe get Jordan Jones, maybe change your formation. I know Derek has done that in the past, going to a back four. Just wonder if that's maybe an option in the second half, because he'd certainly need to get at Motherwell's back three a lot more. But yeah, listen, there is hope, and as you're saying, you know, when you've got guys like Paul off on the bench potentially coming on to make an impact, there's always going to be hope and a chance to get back into the game.
Bonnyrigg Rose have taken the lead against Elgin City, which is significant in terms of the makeup of the leagues, because it really means Albion Rovers are bang up against it. Albion Rovers would need to win and Bonnyrigg Rose lose to haul Rovers off the bottom of the table. So it looks like Albion Rovers are staring at potential elimination from the SPFL. Of course, would play the playoff against, at the moment, Spartans, unless Brecon have other ideas. But Bonnyrigg Rose edging towards safety in that one. So that's certainly something we can keep an eye on. Hugh Keevins, why don't we do this whilst we wait on David Friel getting his second half up and running?
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Peter Crouch and Laurent Robert. I have been managed by John Carver and Tony Pulis. My move to Scotland was the first time I played in Europe. I am an Olympian and represented my country 3 times at the Olympic Games. Who am I? So I played alongside Peter Crouch and Laurent Robert. I have been managed by John Carver and Tony Pulis. My move to Scotland was the first time I played in Europe. I am an Olympian and represented my country 3 times at the Games. Who am I?
Come on, I love the second half teaser, the who am I, because I get it. In the first half you might get a bit overwhelmed. You might think, oh, there's 5 answers, there's 6, I could never come up with that list. You can throw any random name at us for the second half teaser, and you never know, you might be right, because there is a lot of information there. If you'd rather see it written down than listening to Hugh, I mean, no offence to Hugh, you can head to @ClydeSSB on Twitter. You'll see the question written down, and that is where you send the tweet with your guess on it. So get your thinking caps on, try and piece together that jigsaw, send us a name. Against all odds, Gordon Dalziel has quite a good record at the who am I, so I'm interested
if that's
to see.
Correct. He's got Daley Thompson.
Come on.
Still Daley Thompson.
Mark's torn between Daley Thompson and Jonathan Edwards. Let me see what you've gone for. Show me the paper.
That was a bad one. It's a bad one. It was a blast from the past.
I don't even know who that is.
I didn't think you would.
Did he play with Aberdeen, that boy?
No, no, Rangers.
Same surname, but I know who you're. No.
I know who you're talking about.
You're thinking of Paul.
Yeah.
He's thinking of Olivier.
There
you go. You can piece that together for anyone that can solve that riddle.
Aye. Way off.
Anyway, right, that Bonnyrigg Rose goal is the only one of the second halves in Scotland. You've got your second half teaser, so we're looking after you. We've given you something to think about. And then don't forget, as we do every Saturday, 5 o'clock, open line, your chance to have your say. Now I can see a couple of things in the pipeline here. Motherwell fans, Killie, St Mirren, maybe Dundee United. You're going to have big reactions to what's happened today with your team either way, whether it's good or bad. And it's quite a big day tomorrow. Celtic fans, it will be your last chance to predict what's going to happen. Is it going to be the title winning weekend? How will you fare without Johnson and Cameron Carter-Vickers? Can you see Hearts causing you any problems? Do you think it might run on to Ibrox, or will it be wrapped up tomorrow? And Rangers fans, all week long, what is happening? Does there need to be a refresh, a reset between now and the end of the season? Would you play Kent and Morelos? Would you change the goalkeeper? Would you do something else entirely? Let us know. Kilmarnock are coming back out at Fir Park, I think. David, any changes?
I don't see any changes so far, Gordon. I'm just going to look around at the two teams. I think it's as you were, and the game's about to kick off in a matter of seconds.
There we are then. We'll see if Killie can get back into that one. They possibly need a win. Well, they do need a win more than Motherwell do. But Mark Wilson, just to be absolutely sure, David Friel gave us the stat, apparently, and who am I to trust data experts, Motherwell have only got a 3% chance of dropping in to the playoff spot. But one more win and that would probably be wiped out entirely.
I think so. You know what, I was surprised when David said that, and I had to look at the table again. Just recent history and how Motherwell went, I thought they were kind of home and hose and clear of danger, but you forget how close they are still to it. The win today, if they can see that over the line, then they are fine for this season.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon, like we said, it's probably fine anyway, purely because there's 3 teams below them. So your eye is immediately drawn to the points column, and you just calculate the difference, and you think, well, that could be made up. But what are the chances of St Johnstone and Dundee United and Killie overtaking Motherwell? That's what makes them maybe a bit safer.
No, I think for everyone, for part, that next 3 points is so important. That just gives you that real safety barrier. I still don't think, even if Kilmarnock go back into the game today, I don't think Motherwell will be dragged into it. As you rightly said, the teams below have got to win all their games as well. That's not going to happen. So right now, I would be very surprised if Motherwell's got to get dragged into that. And leading 1-0 at half time, if they can get there with another 3 points, then they can start relaxing.
FC Edinburgh 0, Airdrie O'Neill's 2, Gabriel McGill on 54 minutes. I mean, it's not easy to take Airdrie through the playoffs and get promoted.
No, we've all been there, haven't we?
Sometimes
got to say,
penalty shootouts get in the way.
They'll do you every time. But I've got to say, Airdrie have been the entertainment in that division this season. If you go along and watch Airdrie, you're either guaranteed goals for your side or you're guaranteed a thumping. Either way, very rarely is it a 0-0.
And that's why I guess credit goes to Dunfermline, doesn't it? Because we know they're a big club, but they've taken a really no fuss approach to winning that league. Just did it. Brilliant defensive record.
I wonder,
lost very few. I think was it one game in fact, didn't lose many.
Wonder for the manager, I said last week, if he would be top of the list for some of those in our Premiership shooting for managers.
Young with 2 promotions on his CV.
Yep. And managed in the league before, so yeah, he's certainly got it all going on at the minute.
Only lost 1 game. That's terrific.
Yeah,
really is.
I think St Johnstone
61 goals.
Having said that, they were they were losing today, I think. No, I'll double check that, but this obviously the damage is done in a good way. So
I think it's no with Alwa is at the plane.
Anyway, we'll find out in the near future. You've got your teaser up and running as well. I am looking to move towards, slowly but surely, getting you on the phones, but a while to go yet. So we'll get your thoughts either on today's football or tomorrow's football a bit later on in the afternoon. Remember, way behind at Fir Park. That game's only maybe 2 or 3 minutes into the second half. And yes, and I can sense you all looking at your watch, looking at your clock. It's 4:15. But there was so many delays there in that first half. Hope Kevin Clancy's earpiece is alright.
Well, I think at 5 o'clock, Gordon, we'll move into bragging rights territory. You know, when you have Celtic going for the title at Tynecastle of all places, where you traditionally have a terrific match, and we've already had them there this season. And then you get Rangers with so much going on at that club, it's incredible, on and off the park. And on the back of the Celtic defeat in the Cup last weekend, the crowd will be putting the team and the manager under scrutiny tomorrow.
Mark Wilson has the answer to the second half teaser. Who am I?
I gave him that clue. Look,
you're finishing the season strongly on these, you know. Spittles had a shot saved after great work from Kevin Van Veen. There's a great Kilmarnock support there as well at Fir Park, trying to urge their team on. It's not quite working yet, but plenty of football left to be played.
I'm telling you, Ayrshire Derby playoff final.
That would be.
Can you imagine how excited Roger Hanna will be?
Yeah.
Well, they've got a goal scorer, Ayr United, and Kilmarnock don't. Therefore, don't rule it out. I know that Fraser said that he couldn't see anybody left in the Championship being able to beat the Premiership side, but I think that Ayrshire Derby, you know all about it, Gordon. I think Ayr United could beat Kilmarnock.
And get the man next to me. There's a new stand opening. I wonder who that's going to be named after.
Lee Billam, if he gets them up.
You would think a legendary manager.
Do you know, I've forgotten all about this guy. If Lee Billam gets them up,
I've said it for weeks upon weeks. I wish him all the best. I was delighted last night that he got that result. Get this.
Take the big scissors along.
The Andrei Kanchelskis stand at Somerset Park. What do you think of that?
To be fair, I've had 4 Kilmarnock games, not lost any. Not lost a goal.
Yeah, good for you.
So
keep banging the drum.
Yeah. How's that stand looking now? if I can't get one named after me in Kirkcaldy, there's no chance I'm getting one.
They'll just call it the Andy Walker stand, won't they? For his
chip
penalty.
Yeah, the penalty kick.
Yeah, well, listen, the playoffs are going to be blockbuster. We've just decided there that it's going to be an Ayrshire derby. Of course, there are various other possibilities. It could be Dundee United in there, it could be Ross County, it could even be St Johnstone, Queen's Park, Partick Thistle will have other ideas. I just really enjoyed the reintroduction. I said it earlier, you know, they burst back onto the scene with those Hamilton Hibs games were incredible. We might not even have reached those heights because you think of the size of the teams and so on. It was just amazing, wasn't it? When the Ackies did it, and we've had some.
I was at the first leg of that, and the thing that always sticks in my mind was Terry Butcher was manager of Hibs at that time, and he actually thought the job was done.
Jason Cummings scored twice. Was it
he thought the job was done. He was over giving it big licks to the Hibs support, basically saying job done. All credit to the Ackies. Absolute fantastic.
Talking about penalties, was that the one Jason Cummins tried to chip the penalty down the middle?
No, that was a Scottish Cup.
No, I remember. Did they not do that? No,
United, I think.
Did they not do it in Hamilton game as well?
Not sure. I thought you were thinking of the one that he missed.
He missed at Hampden. I remember.
Not sure. I don't think so.
But it was fantastic. I was doing my licence at the time of the second leg. I remember that. We could not believe it when we heard down at Largs that what had happened. But I did reintroduce the whole concept with a bang. I don't know if it's ever lived up to that, has it, since then?
It's hard to match that drama. But listen, it's great for the teams that are involved. I remember going to both when I think Falkirk led Killie in the first leg, and then Killie battered them in the second. You thought maybe Killie were going to go down, and Killie absolutely wiped the floor with them in the second. There's been a Livy, obviously.
Dundee United. Was that Livy Dundee United?
Then Thistle, was it not? In the
was
end
it Thistle?
I think Dundee United en route. No, would that be right? Maybe I'm getting my seasons mixed up. Bit of a hard one for Albion Rovers, because they've got the lead that they need to stay, or to guarantee staying in the SPFL. They lead champions Stirling Albion, who've gone on their holidays maybe, by a 1-0. But Bonnyrigg Rose are now 2-0 up on Elgin. Kieran McGacky's second, so it will be, unless something swings dramatically, Albion Rovers.
They need Kane Hester, the man I've been speaking about all season for Elgin. They need him to step up.
Yeah, you're a big fan of his, you know.
Well, he scores almost every week.
Ended your career.
He'll be there. I did actually.
It's the only video I've watched about 6 or 7 times.
Steady. How big is that? And now just a quick note from our podcast sponsor Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West. We are proud to announce that Lookers is now the new name for Taggarts. Taggarts has been part of the Lookers Motor Group for nearly 20 years, and over time, being part of one of the largest multi-franchise dealer groups in the UK and Ireland, has helped Taggarts to provide a great customer experience, value and choice to their customers across Scotland, and that's something that will never change. And now, they've decided though to change the name above the door to move forward as one. You'll find the same great service and friendly faces you've come to know at their Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms, working hard to give the best experience every time. You can now browse and shop online for your next car at lookers.co.uk and choose from thousands of used cars in stock with home delivery available. You can also discover the latest new car offers, book a test drive and book your next service online. Although the name has changed above the door, everything else is staying exactly the same, and you can still expect the same great service and friendly faces when you visit in store. Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West.
Collect a double welcome bonus of 10,000 Avios with the Barclaycard Avios credit card when you spend £1,000 in your first 3 months. Cappuccino. That could whisk you from everyday to getaway even quicker. Our 10,000 Avios offer ends 30th of May 2023. Check your eligibility now. Search Barclaycard Avios. 27.9% APR representative variable, subject to application and financial status. Eligibility and conditions apply. Double welcome bonus for new customers only. Usually 5,000 Avios.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
I'm sorry to do this to you, Dundee United and Kilmarnock fans and St Johnstone, because Ross County have got a second and it's Alex Samuel. Ross County 2, Livy 0. As things stand, they go 1 point behind Kilmarnock, so that could be massive.
Right,
and Dundee United fans, it's been a bad couple of minutes because Charlie Mulgrew has been sent off, a straight red card, 1-0 down at St Johnstone, and it's just got even harder. They're absolutely furious. Of course it will be checked by VAR, but it was a last man, as they call it. But Dogzo in referee speak, is that right? denying an obvious goal scoring
yeah.
opportunity. So there will be a VAR check. He may get a reprieve, but as things stand currently, Charlie Mulgrew will head for an early bath, and that would be a disaster for Dundee United, already a goal down.
Oh, of course, they need everybody on the pitch if they had to stand any chance. It was going to be incredibly hard for them to turn that around. What a couple of minutes that is for them.
Well, you wonder about Livingston. You know, you've used the expression yourself, Gordon, today. You've gone on their holidays. You're talking about Stirling Albion Championship winners and now trailing to Albion Rovers today. But the Livy, I'd be very interested to hear David Martindale after that game, because Ross County are not exactly a goal scoring machine, but they're 2 up, 2 to the good, and they will, no matter what happens, I think they will be the team to come out best in the bottom 3 today.
Well, you asked about Dunfermline. They have gone a goal up at Alloa now, so even though they've won the title, they're not taking their foot off the gas. FC Edinburgh have pulled 1 back, Danny Handling's penalty, but Airdrie still lead 2-1 in the capital. I'm keen to see what happens with this Charlie Mulgrew red card. Has that been confirmed yet? I don't think it has.
What do you do? Just hang about? If you're Charlie on the pitch, what do players do now? Do they? Because he used to just be get down the tunnel, get off, don't even complain to the ref.
I don't know why.
Yeah, confirmed. He's gone. He is off. Charlie Mulgrew, a straight red card. I always think they can be quite difficult ones, they'll denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, because when you sort of pause the footage or you take a freeze frame, it's not always easy to accurately tell if a covering player can get there or not.
Yeah.
You know, people will always
quite subjective
spin it whatever way they see.
Yeah,
sometimes people think they've got Usain Bolt playing.
Exactly, I was going to say that. Dundee United fans will be arguing, whoever was closest to Charlie was catching him all day long and covering. St Johnstone fans would be thinking there's not a chance he was getting caught.
Sometimes think you do err on that side, because it's to be an obvious goal scoring opportunity. Nobody's saying you're definitely going to score. You know, I sometimes feel like we create this imaginary bar for it. Hugh, what's your teaser again? We'll do some wrong answers.
I have played alongside Peter Crouch and Laurent Robert. I have been managed by John Carver and Tony Pulis. My move to Scotland was the first time I played in Europe. I am an Olympian and represented my country 3 times at the Games. Who am I?
Polly thinks it might be Craig Bellamy.
Think again.
Nearly read out the correct answer there. Alan thinks it could be Effie Ambrose.
Nope.
Tomoki Iwata. That must be a different person. Says Chris Commons. Lol. I don't know. I don't know which bit of it's funny, but
well, on the basis that Chris Commons must be the answer to more beat the pundit questions than anybody.
See, over my head. Oh, what a trickster this guy was. I enjoyed watching him. Thomas Stephen thinks it's Ricardo Fuller.
No, it's not.
By the way, so does Richie Crawford as well. He's a common wrong answer.
He was a good player, him.
Who?
Ricardo Fuller. Yeah.
Great, wasn't he?
Yeah,
strong. Aye. Yep, strong lad.
Probably got even better, didn't he? Went down to Stoke.
Went down to Stoke. Aye, he got the praise he deserved in there.
Dunfermline 2 up at Alloa now. Paul McGowan. Annan have levelled against Stenhousemuir through a Tommy Goss penalty. Double change then for Kelly. We did say Liam Polworth scored a wonderful goal against his former team earlier on this season. He's on at Fir Park alongside Alabiosu, Power and Watson off.
This fixture is never dead. You're right and highlighting earlier. I mean, I was in the studio not so long ago that at Rugby Park, the free kick, I said not a chance. And remember that game, Kelly were on top and should be out of sight by half time. Motherwell flipped it, got back into it, and then that game at Fir Park was probably the icing on the cake, or the stick it was used to beat Stevie Hamill with, because tactically it was always brought up after it that he got that all wrong when Derek McInnes made, was it 5 subs did Derek McInnes make pretty quick? Stevie Hamill maybe only made 1, and fans were quick to point it out. So this fixture, always life left in it.
Oh, that's what I like to see. It was getting tense at the top of the table there, so good to see Callum Slattery pulling clear. He's been booked again. It's his 13th of the season.
He likes a book in this boy.
In the league, I think, though David Field says 16th. Maybe that's all competitions, or maybe it depends which website you look at. But the one I'm on, he's got the most in the league on 13. Yeah, David Field says his is all competitions. And you know, it was a big day for it, really, when you look at the teams involved, because Rory McKenzie is the second most booked player in the league, and he's playing. I don't think he's been booked yet, so heating. It's the award everyone wants.
May as well win with something
at the end of the season.
Go
A
all
lot
out.
of bookings, that, isn't it?
Oh,
that is.
Well, it goes to-
and some
I've
of them are
mentioned it
needless.
before, considering he's not exactly a hatchet man, is he?
No.
He's not like your hard midfield enforcer.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Palmerston Pep, good afternoon for him. Queen of the South 3, Kelty Hearts 1, Conor Murray on 65 minutes there. So he'll be, he's never happy, but he'll be happier than usual, I suppose.
Is he going to the PFA dinner?
Oh, I've no idea. I don't know.
It must be at the Queen of the South table, sure.
I'm not getting the tracksuit, mate.
Ooh, this could be a big goal. This could be a big one.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
It's a goal for St Mirren. They are back in it. Alex Grieve. Remember, Hibs were 2-0 up at the break, cruising. Fraser Wishart was a bit critical of the first half performance, but Alex Grieve has St Mirren back in the game. Game on. You just wonder, because it's this stage of the season, everything at stake, a big expectant home crowd.
Yeah.
Maybe that introduces some nerves to Easter Road.
Well, with a 2-goal lead, it sounds to me more like Hibs have taken their foot off the gas, because St Mirren were not contributing very much to the game in the first half, and now they're 3/4 of the way through. They've given themselves a lifeline, so I can't help but feel Hibs have dropped a level.
Got to love the simplicity. Trevor Carson with the kick, Curtis Main with the flick, and Alex Grieve with the finish. You can just imagine it. Route 1 at its best.
Yeah,
Better
don't
than playing
all
between
have
the
to be
lines,
Man
innit?
City, do we? Aye, playing 100 passes before a goal. Good old direct football.
Funny you mentioned that. They were 2-0 up on Leeds at the break.
Yeah.
And I think I saw 4 or 5 Man City players had more passes in the first half than the entire Leeds team.
I mean, we're seeing it. Haaland's hit the bar
Oh,
and
how
the
did they go?
post
How did they miss it
as
How did
well.
they miss that header?
Imagine playing against this Man City side. I mean, just the term chasing shadows.
I've got
This
to
team takes it to a new level.
They've certainly changed, because I remember this fixture. I played in this fixture.
Did you?
Yeah. Against Leeds. It was Main Road at the time.
Why do you say that with like a surprise? What are we,
No,
40,
how
50 years ago?
How football's improved.
You're saying they've changed. Yeah, they have.
They have changed, yeah.
It was a generation ago.
Yeah, different. But as I say, as a flying winger, I can picture myself right there now.
Anyway, Mark Wilson, Brecon
Inside the
City.
fullback, inside the fullback.
Brecon City are 3-2 up on Spartans,
Are they?
which means
Look at the disappointment in that face.
level in the tie, and it's going to go right to the wire to see who takes on probably Albion Rovers for a place in the SPFL next
So I
season.
take it extra time and penalties. Yeah,
Yes.
that'll be.
See, that's
was
a-
that last? Did that happen last year? No, or no? Am I getting that wrong? No, I think I'm getting that wrong. Never
That's an omen for you for the playoffs. You think about this. Your first victory as a manager was at Albion Rovers.
mind. So it was, aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
And
Jeez, how
you
do
never
remember
won
that?
a game with Brecon, right? So
I did
you
win a
could
game
go-
with Brecon.
You could. Did you win a game?
Aye.
Did you? You could go to.
I think
Well, there was one.
Aye, there's
one.
one.
Who-
Aye.
hold on a minute. I want to know who you beat. Really?
I think it was Elgin. No, 2. I think it beat Elgin and
Was-
Stirling Albion at home. I think. Aye.
Oh, brilliant.
Aye. No, what's funny, looking at Queen's Park last night, that I was at Brecon when Willie Hockey took over or invested at Queen's Park, and I remember sitting with Ray McKinn in the office after we'd just watched an entertaining 0-0 on a cold, wet Wednesday night, and asking him what the plans were, and he told me what the progression looked like, and I thought, that's never happening. And they were 90 minutes away from being a Premiership side.
Remember they finished 4th in League One
Aye.
last season. It's worth bearing that in mind. They almost got promoted a year after finishing.
I was the worst.
Amazing
I,
story.
wa- I was one of the worst Saturdays in my life, and I'll never get it back again. Sitting there in that Hampden Stadium with him down below in the dugout watching Queen's Park.
Do you remember the score when you played for City against Leeds?
We beat them, I think. Or was it 1-1?
1 each it was.
1 each.
indeed.
I was outstanding. down
Queen of the
wing.
South are now 4-1 up. Rory Payton, his last game for Queen of the South, if I was reading Marvin Bartley's facial expressions right the other night. A mischief making. I'm not sure that actually is the case, but you would imagine he's going to have some suitors because he is on the shortlist for League One Player of the Year.
Tough summer ahead for Marvin, because just into management, he'll soon realise how difficult it is to sign players and get deals across the line at kind of that level.
I think you'll love all that.
You think so?
Yeah,
I absolutely hated it. That's why I was grateful for this guy to my left when I was at Airdrie.
Said no one.
Aye,
ever.
but I just passed it on to him. But then I mean, Fraser, was it Fraser who touched on it earlier? It's literally a few quid a week is the difference from somebody choosing to come to you or not choosing to come to you.
Good set of circumstances. It feels like Queen of the South have got. Remember, they train in Hamilton, so it's quite central. You're not going down there full time in League One.
Incredible.
You know.
Yeah,
that is incredible. Full time.
Yeah, St Mirren fans are trying to do their bit. They're all on their feet. They're trying to give the players a real boost. They did get a nice lift from the goal. They're pushing Hibs back.
Mark O'Hara's girlfriend's in the car park beating the horn.
Exactly. Kevin Van Veen's had a shot saved for Motherwell. He's been very good again, but no goal yet, as he tries to close in on an even more impressive goals tally. I assume our learned colleague can correct us that we'll have the shortlist for the Premiership Player of the Year this week.
When does that come out?
I'd imagine it'll be this week, because the dinner's next Sunday, isn't it? So it'll have to be this week. Will Kevin Van Veen be on it?
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, maybe. Because if I'm thinking, you know, you've got a few of the Celtic players there, obviously.
Duke Shankland.
Yeah.
100%.
How long is it now?
It's dropping a bit, isn't it?
I'm drawing my stone here. No, I think he should be. Fraser's given me the nod.
Just a few contenders though.
Yeah,
talking about attackers outside the top two. Duke, Lauren Shankland, Kyogo, Hatate, bound to be there or thereabouts. Would you overlook guys like McGregor, Carter Vickers? Well, I mean, it's not going to be. It's just never is. It's not going to be 4 Celtic players. Wednesday is the big day, says Fraser.
Wednesday.
They'll all be down there getting their photos taken, doing the rounds, doing the press.
Who have you went for, Mark? Who's your preference?
I went for Hatate at a time that.
Yeah, with injuries.
Hold on, just to clarify.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like just in your own head?
Yeah.
No, on here. Aye. Remember,
right.
Daz and I were.
You just had me worried there. He does.
Or that I get a vote.
Yeah, you set that up as if he's got a vote.
Still a paying member of the PFA.
No, I'm just. Yeah, because I was the same. Did you not change to Kyogo?
Nah, I said Hatate, but I would change it to Kyogo now.
Great.
Because Hatate's been injured, and you know, out of sight, out of mind.
Will be looking for his 30th goal of the season at Tynecastle tomorrow. A real hot number for Celtic. Kyogo, best signing that Ange Postecoglou made.
The big argument for Kyogo, and loads have said it, is he does it in the big games, and that's what usually wins awards at the end of the season.
I think the young player will be interesting. I'm not sure there are many that spring to mind. Fraser Wishart, I'm sure, will, because he always keeps me right on the criteria. Remember, it's the Football Writers one, they have to be Scottish. That's not the case for the PFA Scotland one. I think Leo Labada won it last year as an example. I don't know if there are loads. If he's still eligible, he'd probably have a shout.
You're right back, Max Johnson.
Maybe a kind
of
late
standing goal, and he's been consistent in the side.
Second part of the season though.
Yeah. Any Aberdeen players? What age is Boy Clarkson? Not too old.
I don't know.
What is the age?
Fraser's bound to tell us. Age 21 or under on the first game of the season. So Malik Tillman.
Yeah. What age is Duke?
Probably.
Older?
Would you give it to Malik Tillman, who consistently doesn't turn up for the big games?
It's the players that vote for it.
Yeah,
like I say, if you're,
but they should know that then better than anybody else.
It's all right saying that. Come up with 4 Young Player of the Year, because that's what you need. It's all right saying he's not in it, he's not in it, who is not in it, but who is? Duke's 23, won't be him.
Oh.
So, you know, there aren't many. So I think Abada would still be, and we can argue about this on the in the days that are to follow, but Abada's 21 now, so he'll qualify.
I don't think this season I don't think he'd be a contender.
Again,
who else?
Who is then?
But
who are the 4?
But you still have to rule people out.
No, but who are the 4 young players above Leo Labada on the shortlist then? That's all I'm asking. I'm not trying to be.
Just make 4 up,
because we need to come up with 4.
I'll back you up.
You don't need
the 4 in.
Well, you don't need to be objectively brilliant. You need to be in the top 4 young players of the season. That's the point I'm trying to make.
That is a problem though. You know, I know we're trying to come up with names. That's a problem, because I've never known a season like that. Usually they spring to mind pretty easily, and usually we've got a lot of young players who are being touted to going elsewhere in England, It's not been the case this season in Scotland.
See, now that you think I've now convinced myself, I'll be surprised if Tillman and Abad are both not on that list, just purely because of
age.
You're going to have to come up with someone else. You're going to have to come up with someone who's
scored
above
goals.
those.
Yeah,
that is not me saying I think those two have had wonderful seasons, but you can't think of any other young players that would be.
It's a fair point. I'm the same.
And Fraser does make it a good point as well. And I mentioned it there. The football writers is, my goodness, they have to be Scottish. Name any. You mentioned Max Johnson, who, by the way, might even be one of the shouts, and he's only played half a season because there are none that have played this season.
Of course, but it's been a good half season. It's been at the tail end, I know. But yes, competition is weak this year, but it shouldn't diminish.
Give 2 minutes
any of the
Roger
winners.
will be back in with a reply.
Roger will have a few. None? What? Roger struggling? Come on, Roger.
Yeah.
So you've got no more for me?
I'm struggling, and I'll tell you what,
if you want to shoot down Tillman and Abada, you need to give me
I
give me
wasn't shooting them down.
alternatives.
But what I'm thinking is, you're talking there about Scottish.
Oh, that's tough. That's really tough this season.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's not even any that have played. Like, really, I mean, Max Johnson half a season, Ethan Errahon half a season at St Mirren before he left. Did Connor Barron start the season at Aberdeen but nowhere near it now? Is Josh Campbell young enough? But again, tailed off a bit.
Yeah, Campbell's still in the play for the under-21s, Scotland 21s, no? Might be the shout. Scored a few decent goals this season.
No, too old. He's
too old. I don't need to bump that age up.
Yeah,
25.
Yeah,
under 30.
Roger Hanna says Mark O'Hara's girlfriend is in the top 3. Such is the lack.
I'm an indictment in our game there.
We can have a good.
It is unusual because our league is always littered with good young players, and seasons gone by. So no good at all. I take it is it the full of Scotland this goes out to? It's not just league specific for the young player.
I think I'm pretty sure for the PFA award, and again, Fraser, as well, just getting Fraser on the phone. I think you can. I think all 4 divisions can have. Well, for it, right on cue, a young man who was in the shortlist for League 2 Player of the Year, Charlie Riley. He's had a brilliant season, and it's crazy to think, because I know Albion Rovers are bottom of the pyramid. They're about to go out of it altogether, but it's a brilliant season for Albion Rovers.
Good player.
He's only
aesthetically
21.
Aesthetically, for a young player who falls at the league at Albion Rovers to win it, what's that scene for the rest of the
I'm just saying players who've had a good season.
He's had an excellent season.
24 goals for the season now. So you talk about Van Veen. Charlie Riley's 21, 24 goals for a team that's finished 42nd.
Give him
in the pyramid.
It sounds to me you've automatically got a terrific Super Scoreboard on Wednesday night when the lists are revealed.
Well, Tuesday night I think will be good, because that's when we can have our final speculation about it. Yellow card for Guthrie at Livingston. It's going to be checked for a potential red card. Livy are 2-0 down. I can just imagine being stuck next to David Martindale on that bus back from Dingwall.
It's a long journey down. If
2 or more and get a man sent off.
Tell you, it brings Ross County right back into it. Today I thought if they lost, that's them, they're gone, no way back. But all of a sudden, with Kilmarnock losing, Dundee United losing, they're right back in that mix.
Well, it's a 3-way fight. If the results stay, or the scorelines stay as they are at the moment, then St Johnstone would be too far away from the bottom 3 to be seriously troubled, and it'd be Dundee United, Kilmarnock and Ross County. It's a 3-way fight.
It's amazing how sometimes we get onto a topic of conversation and then something just very appropriate pops up, because there are different routes, of course, for young Scottish players. Why they're not many. Some go at an earlier age. Old pal of the show, Derek Ray, we've had him on many times to talk about Scottish teams against German opposition. I've seen him tweet there that Bayern Munich have named Liam Morrison on the bench today for a game against Bremen. 20-year-old defender, was at Celtic when he was younger. Went to Bayern 2019, and he's on the bench for the first team.
That's extraordinary. I watched him a couple of weeks back for Scotland 21s against Wales, captain, and I've got to say he had a poor game.
Great.
But then I'm looking at his background, and I'm looking at he was promoted to the Bayern is it B team they call it over there, and he was playing regular, and I thought, okay, he's just had a bad afternoon, but they must think highly. But that's some leap, even to go to their B team, to their first, their squad's so strong.
Oh, that red card has been shown. So Curtis Guthrie got a yellow, and it's been upgraded to a red for Livy. Serious foul play. 82 minutes gone. And Livy 2-0 down. Can we kiss goodbye to that
Game
one?
over. Yeah, game over.
For
Good
sure.
afternoon for Malky Mackay.
We're needing some more goals. I thought we were going to get a more exciting afternoon second half. Okay, obviously Motherwell game's only 10 minutes in the second half, but that's plenty of time to go. But I thought we'd have got more goals. Are they more there, Hugh? More drama? You're very quiet this afternoon.
No,
I think you're keeping it all for Sunday.
No, I think it's an as things stand day, and it's been a bad day for Kilmarnock. I don't see them coming back. Bad day for Dundee United. Good day for Ross County. Bottom three separated by 1 point.
16 to go at Fir Park. One quick visit to the teaser, Hugh. I'll round it off soon, but let's give
I
some
have
more
played
wrong ones.
alongside Peter Crouch and Laurent Robert. I have been managed by John Carver and Tony Pulis. My move to Scotland was the first time I played in Europe. I am an Olympian, and I represented my country 3 times at the games. Who am I?
Siller 87 goes for Ki Sung Young.
No,
I can see that. Maybe would have played
Yeah,
but wrong.
Fraser Innes thinks Stephen Colker.
No.
Chris thinks Canu. Never played here though, did he? Apart from in that Legends game at Ibrox a couple of weeks ago. I like this from Fudgy Wudgy. This is an old classic of the show. He says Jeremy Aliadier because he just wants to hear the old guy say it.
Jeremy Aliadier.
He's great at that, isn't he? Honestly,
I thought it was quite good.
You're good at that.
I thought it was quite good at Laurent Robert.
Felix Boy thinks Scott Sinclair.
No. Scott Sinclair.
He did
3 Olympic games.
Well, fair enough, but I think he was part of the one. Was he not? Was he not in that one?
Yeah,
Team
that everybody
GB
came together
for London 2012.
Did any Scottish players get into
No.
that? No, none made it at all.
No,
you
I
would
don't
have
think
thought
so.
they would have just flung one in just to make it look
We'd
up.
have loads now though.
Aye. McGinn,
Robertson,
Tierney. Robertson, Tierney. Aye,
Stick McTominay in there as well. Why not?
get big Dykes in
Anyway,
there.
How
let's
can Manchester
move on.
City get a penalty and Erling Haaland doesn't take it, and the guy who does take it misses it?
Gundogan was going for his hat trick. That's
Yeah.
what it's all about. Hugh, team game, give him his hat trick.
Selfish. That's what it is. Selfish.
Oh, look at Pep.
Pep
Pep shouting to Haaland, you have to take it. You have to take it.
Because Big Allardyce was sitting going, I wouldn't have done that.
See, Pep and I, same wavelength.
Well, and David Field and Fraser are quite right to point out the accuracy. The SFA refused to participate. So there we go. We would have had loads in the team.
Oh, did we?
It was our decision. In case it led to
Would
a
you
UK team
believe
down
Big
the line.
Sam is
Oh,
working
yes, Sam,
miracles down
He's
south.
as good as Pep Klopp.
Listen, I'm more interested in what's happening up here.
There's nothing happening up here. That's why we're talking about City.
Anything happening at McDermott Park? Dundee United having a go at this, even though they're down to 10 men.
Nothing to report.
Remember
yet.
at Fir Park, they weren't down to 10 men that day, but they came late. They got the equaliser. They
Yeah.
got the winner. When they put it past them.
Yeah, Lewis
Get
Jameson
something.
on for St Mirren, replacing Alex Grieve. Kieran Offord, sorry, Fraser says it is. So a bit of a dispute as to who's come on for St Mirren. But either way, they've made a change there. Oh, it is Jameson. He's corrected himself. Tell me about Donald Trump. I've left it long enough, right? I could not concentrate on the big trip to London to pick up Station of the Year, in case you hadn't heard with our colleagues in here, because I knew that you were on the same golf course as the former president and maybe future president. Who knows? It's a wacky world. Did you meet him?
I met him. Aye.
No, I didn't.
I did meet him. Anyway, I'll tell the story again, Gordon, because you weren't here.
I wasn't here.
So it was a shotgun start, and he'd just arrived in the course. I started in 14. By the time I got to 18, we're on the green putting for eagle, Gordon.
Oh, here we go.
And you know the cart path goes right behind the 18th. Who comes driving by? Donald Trump.
So he's on the championship course.
No, he's driving to the driving range.
But he was
right
playing
past
the
us.
championship course.
He's
presumably.
from me to you away. He says to me, "Is everything going okay, fellas?" And I say, "All good, thank you." And he says, "Great."
What an exchange.
I mean,
Yeah. I'll live long in
that's
the memory.
Well, that's
Yeah.
I can see I've met the
But he
former
gets a
president.
photograph of him about 60-70 yards away.
So he's driving away, and I'm trying to get my try to get my phone
okay.
out. But a couple of the guys met him later on
Frank
that
McAvenny,
night.
I saw that on his
met him later
Instagram.
that night. But it was unreal.
Will this
Secret
influence,
service everywhere.
Will this influence his chances of becoming the president if he says, I've met Mark Wilson?
Well, think of Frank McAvenny. 1 week he's cutting about with DJ Daz. The next week he's cutting about with Donald Trump.
Two equally dodgy characters.
Big celebs.
A lot in common.
I
You and
didn't have
Donald.
the red tat on.
Roger Hanna says your exchange is not quite Frost Nixon, but
Not quite, but I'm working on it.
Is he not a notorious cheat on the golf course? Is that not?
Aye,
I've
went
never
on with
played
the
golf
say.
with him, so I couldn't tell you.
See, you didn't get to see any of that. It
Well,
was
I
it
watched him at the driving
kicking
range.
his ball up
I
the.
watched him and he was just
Is he any
swinging away.
You can't accuse
it's
somebody
alright.
being a cheat if you've not played with them.
No, that's what they social media rumour, that sort of
There
thing.
was a book came out
Yeah.
in which he was. I think the title of the book was The First Cheat, and that was Donald Trump.
On the golf course?
Yeah.
I wouldn't play with
He
He
seemed
wouldn't get
alright to
past
me.
her.
He
He wouldn't
seemed
get
alright.
past the dish.
And saying that, how can he cheat? Honestly, he had about 45 people just
Well, that's
standing
why.
around about him.
Because they just form a circle round him and he pulls another ball out of his pocket and no
Probably
one else
tell
is
one
in
of
the
security
wiser.
boys, get up there and get a good lie for me before I got up.
Yeah, he's always got somebody looking for his ball, unlike us.
Yeah.
How
Interesting
class
character.
that must be to just go down to the golf course and say, right, I'm number one, I'll win this, I'm playing, I'm starting when I want. Right? In fact, I'm not going to let anybody on, I'm just going to play myself. How good would that be?
I wish I seen him after the showers though, because the showers were freezing after it, to say, look, Donald, get these.
Alright, I was getting a wee bit worried about that. Donald, these towels are getting a bit small.
Donald, where's your pants?
Tell me what they say about you, Donald.
Clyde won, Montrose won. I've never been so glad for Montrose goal. And Bonnie Rigrose, well done to them. They've stayed, they've kept their SPFL status. They came up, it's not like they threw loads of money at it, and sometimes we see teams come up and really start climbing quickly. They kept a lot of the team that got them up from the Lowland League. They had to just dig in and stay in the division, and they have. Bonnie Rigrose 3, Elgin City 0. Some full-time whistles are starting to go. With that in mind, Hugh, let's finish this.
The second half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Peter Crouch and Laurent Robert. I have been managed by John Carver and Tony Pulis. My move to Scotland was the first time I played in Europe. I am an Olympian and represented my country 3 times at the Games. I am Maurice Edu.
Maurice Edu, well done if you got it right, and lots of you did. A great standard as always. Larry Hansen was in 3rd place, well done Larry. Adam Colville 2nd fastest, and Woody 67 got Maurice Edu very quickly indeed. Well done to you all, good effort on that one. I always like to see how quickly you can put these together, because my mind does not work that way. I'm impressed every single week. Full-time whistles are going. Dunfermline, they've won again despite having already wrapped up the League One title, not taking their foot off the gas at all. Are we going to get any late drama? Is there anything doing? Dundee United, you're down to 10 men, but you're fighting for your lives. Can you get an equaliser at McDermott Park? Can Kilmarnock pull one back? Can they equalise at Fir Park? Can St Mirren, there's only 1 goal in all 3 of those games. I think Ross County are done, they're out of sight. Well done to them. Livy have that dreadful unhappy trip down the road.
Kilmarnock would be my only guess at belated interest. I think the rest are done and dusted, but there's still a lot of time to go to Fir Park.
Oh, that's true, yeah. I'm forgetting how huffing and puffing at the moment, David Friel says. But yeah, we're a good bit behind in that one, because there was all sorts of delays. You don't need me to bang on about Kevin Clancy's earpiece much longer.
Malky Mackay's the winner today.
Yeah.
He's the boy.
Daz was right. You said midweek that you were going to wait till today to see where you judged Ross County.
Oh, very good.
Where do you judge them now? Right,
That's good of you.
In the mix.
I judge them in the mix.
So last week when they shipped 6, you've got them written off, and now they win.
No, I didn't.
Safe,
I didn't
so.
ever write them off. I was writing them off tonight at 5 o'clock for the lost at home to Livy.
So that night when they lost to Hearts, you would have said, yeah, they might still stay up.
Yeah, I had every confidence. And obviously it's shown that patience is a virtue. And I think that's a terrific result. I think the winners as well today are St Johnstone, Motherwell, if they hold on.
If they hold on,
because that takes them right out of the equation.
I think you should get a white flag option in football. You know, if you're Livy, you're 2 down, you've got a man sent off, and the ref holds up the 7 minutes board. I think you can say, nah, call it 2.
Just
we'll just get down the road.
Yeah, that happened to me. The referee, they were supposed to be about 5 minutes, and he just they're not coming back. To be fair, it was 7 at the time, so I thought it was every right to blow the whistle.
Anyway, if we are going to get late, it could be in any of our other 3 featured matches. You know, St Mirren might have an equaliser in them, as might Killie, as might Dundee United. They are down to 10 though, and I'm looking forward to seeing that incident, finding out if it's contentious or not, then analysing Jim Goodwin's reaction. Because it's a well trotted out phrase. These things could get us relegated.
I know, but at the same time, there's an awful lot of football played before we got to that.
Absolutely,
yeah. And it sounds to me like Dundee United, on the back of 3 straight defeats, have not risen to the occasion in the way that was demanded of them.
Interesting that managers have different feelings on these things. Utekanj Postecoglou makes 5 subs every week, every single week, and quite early at times. Only 1 sub for Motherwell so far. Stuart Kettlewell, it's not really his. He doesn't like to disrupt things, and it's quite often Harry Payton who comes on, having just been signed most recently of all the players.
Depends what quality you've got sitting behind you. Ange Postecoglou's got quality that can go and
Stephen
change
O'Donnell's now coming on.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, Stephen O'Donnell wouldn't be the least of his worries, of course. But if he's got a bench full of quality that can go on and take the game to a new level, he would use them. He obviously hasn't. I
assume he's shutting up shop because Mandron has come off. Surely Stephen O'Donnell's not going up front, although it would be quite something. Mikel Mandron going off. Although, do you know what? I'm not saying there's loads of obvious quality, but I had a look at a reserve game the other day that Motherwell played. Not the one this week, I think the one before. And you forget that they signed loads of players in January, threw everything at it. Stevie Hamill and then Stuart Kettlewell. That's that's got a really big squad now, really big squad. You think of guys that have all played a lot of first team football. So I think the reserve team I saw the other day was something like Stephen O'Donnell, Bevis Mugabe, Ricky Lamy, Lennon Miller, who's obviously a youngster, Danzaki, Japanese player who came in, Jackie Aitchison.
Oh good, forgot about him as well.
Dean Cornelius guys that believe it
something's
or
got
not,
to give them.
yeah, absolutely. Believe it or not, because they signed a lot of players in January, Motherwell have actually got a large number of players that have played first team games.
I was going to say, were those players signed in longer term contracts, or were they a quick fix to the end of the season?
Some of them are guys that were already there.
Yeah, because that causes its own problems for Stuart Kettlewell. How he wants to shape the squad. He doesn't want to carry a large squad of players he's not going to use into next season. He wants to focus on the people who are going to make a difference rather than the people he wants to get out the door. So it can become a tricky situation, that.
Dundee United have hit the bar. Stephen Fletcher, what a turnaround that would be. Behind in the game, down to 10 men for a fair while now. And we did say at the start of the game, it could be that Stephen Fletcher sort of spearheads this survival bid, and he's hit the bar. That's fine margins, as they say.
Yeah,
certainly is. That's a real disappointment for Dundee United this afternoon. Won there earlier on the season, off the back of 3 consecutive wins, looking for a 4th. Real bad afternoon, particularly when Jim goes in and sees that Ross County result.
I like to give him a hard time when he's here, so I'll give him a grudging praise when he's not. Queen of the South 4, Kelty Hearts 1. Well done to our old pal Marvin Bartley. Meaningless game obviously, but well done anyway. They all count. Goes towards the win percentage.
He'll be back at Hibs as manager one day.
Well, they're not doing too badly themselves at the moment. It's been an up and down relationship for Lee Johnson and these Hibs fans, but as things stand, they're going to move 1 point behind Hearts. If football was played on paper, Hearts would not pick up any points tomorrow, but they might, and that could be quite the end to the season in that department.
What a game that's going to be, though. Celtic minus Carter Vickers, Kobayashi coming in, Lawrence Shanklin going for the Hearts goal scoring record. What a day that's going to be.
Stuart Kettlewell will hope this doesn't come back to bite Motherwell. Paul McGinney's 6 yards out and he hits the post. A ridiculous miss according to David Friel.
He's had 1 or 2, is he not, in his career at Motherwell? Did he not have
Motherwell not have one earlier on this season similar to that?
Yeah,
it was McGinn, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I feel like I remember that.
Down the right hand
That's
side.
right, yeah. What game was that in again?
I don't know if it was horrendous miss.
Well, it was one of the few that I think
sitter.
I think I was there, so we're looking at
Did
a
it come off the
Sunday
post or
game.
something?
Yeah, I think it's the same today. Yeah, there we are. So hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt Motherwell. Sorry, obviously, for any Kilmarnock fans that are tuned in. Albion Rovers, they've won 2-0. They've beaten the champions Stirling Albion, as can sometimes happen at the end of the season, but not enough. Albion Rovers will finish 42nd in the SPFL, and they will take on either Spartans or Brecon to see if they can retain their place, because that one's going to go to the wire, I think, last time I checked. So, as we said, one of the institutions, if you like, one of the traditional names that you associate with the SPFL, but that is the point. Penalties at Glebe Park, penalties to decide if you get the chance.
Tension.
3-2 Brecon on the day, 3-3 in aggregate, and it's just going to go to penalties to decide. Now it's going to penalties now, sorry, to decide if who makes it to take on.
Oh, you know
Albion
what, I know we might laugh at it, but as pressure for these players and the clubs who are, you know, aspirations of getting into the leagues, Brecon back there, but Spartans for the first time, huge.
I don't mind admitting to my mistakes. Some of you could learn a thing or two.
Go.
I mocked you for saying that Chelsea would win today. They've won 3-1.
Yeah, I've told you.
Look, listen, even a broken Lampard's going to get it right every now and then.
That's the reason I went for it.
Be enough to get my another job.
The
in the
only
summer.
one I was talked out of today, and one of my tips came from Mr. Keevins, who talked me out the Ross County. I fancied them to beat Livingston.
But why? You're a fool to listen to me.
Yeah,
I was going to say that as ironic.
I have just learned that just now, Hugh.
Do you want to know what I thought was quite strange about the prediction as well? Because I think I overheard them say it.
I know what you're going to say
about Eamon Brophy.
Yeah, I can't understand.
Was he playing?
No, but you know, I know he's been injured. He's been injured for the last couple, and you know they kind of Simon Murray, Jordan White, okay with it. I know they did.
But it's the way he said it. He went, "Oh, Brophy's not playing. He's not playing. Definitely not." And I thought, right,
listen,
okay.
it does serve you right. You should not listen to him when it comes to predictions. It's finished at Easter Road. What a big result this could be. Fraser Wishart.
Yeah, huge result. Hibernian 2, St Mirren 1. The Hibs supporters cheer their team, but perhaps more in relief than anything else, because towards the end St Mirren really pushed them back. The Hibs held on to get the vital 3 points in this race for the Conference League. All their good work was done in the first half when Ellie Ewan and Will Fish scoring the goals. They put them deservedly ahead. St Mirren really poor in that first half, but they fought back in the second. Alex Grieve goal giving them hope, but they just couldn't create that big chance to get the equaliser late on in the game. Plenty of half chances, but no real clear-cut chances to grab a point. Hibs, as I said, really comfortable in the first half. 2 up, although St Mirren will be unhappy at the easy goals that they lost. 4 minutes gone. Charles Dunn, the left hand side, just inside the Hibernian half, took a throw in. I don't know why, but he tried to throw it into the middle of the park towards Marcus Fraser, his fellow centre back. He didn't throw it hard enough, it bounced up the way. Fraser didn't know whether to come to the ball or wait for it. He waited. Ellie Ewan nipped in and he ran on challenge for about 40 yards. 1-1 with the goalkeeper. Good low finish by the striker into the back of the net. 2-0 in 24 minutes. Joe Newell on the right hand side, in swinging corner to the front post. Paul Hannon went to head it, but he missed it, and the ball bounced high and quickly. It was a really good finish by Will Fish at the back post into the back of the net, because the ball came at him really quickly off the surface. Someone had offered little in attack. O'Hara volley on top of the net, their best effort. Maybe better in the second half. Bacchus on for Gallagher at half time, and immediately Saints in the first 10 minutes of the second half were far better than they were in the first, pushing Hibs back. Although Hibs should have wrapped the game up in 56 minutes. Kevin Nisbet did really well, strong on the ball, held off a couple of challenges inside the centre circle. Lovely pass to Egan Riley. He drove forward, laid Cadden in wide on the right hand side. He didn't have to take a touch. He first time he just passed the ball towards Nisbet, who continues running to the box. 8 yards out, you put your money on the Scotland striker to score, but he fired well over the bar. An absolute sitter. The other end there, an equally bad miss for St Mirren. Curtis Main was only 3 yards out. A straight cross was deflected. It fell into his path. He made contact with the ball, Curtis Main, but it fell into the arms of David Marshall, although the keeper knew little about it. He did get a goal back in 65 minutes. A really simple goal. One end of the park to the other. Trevor Carson with a long kick, head flicked by Curtis Main, and Grieve ran through unchallenged. 1-1 with the goalkeeper. Although Marshall got a touch to the ball ended up in the back of the net. So the game really opened up. Hibs dangerous on the breaks. St Mirren pushing really hard for the equaliser. Chris Cadden burst through on the right hand side, denied by a brilliant tackle and backtracking by Bacchus, just as it looked as if Cadden would score. But Hibs fans in the latter stages becoming anxious. After a really comfy afternoon, it became a nervy end. Young Lewis Jimison hit the side net from the edge of the box. Bacchus had a shot blocked, and then Strain blasted a half chance over the bar. But as St Mirren really pushed for that equaliser, Hibs defended really well and didn't really threaten the Hibs goal at all, the St Mirren striker. St Mirren, I think, they'll really rue the poor start to the game and the soft goals they lobbed. But Hibs, great result for them, put themselves 1 point behind big rivals Hearts in 4th place. An exciting end of the season for the Hibernian supporters. Full time at Easter Road, Hibernian 2, St Mirren 1.
You missed a goal, Kevin Van Veen. He has to get in the action at some point. Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 0. Meant to be a very, very good goal indeed as well. We'll hear from David soon, but let's go to McDermott. It's finished there, Roger.
It's finished. St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0. A first home derby win for the Saints in 8 years. A first win as manager for Stephen McLean, and it's put clear daylight now between the Saints and that drop zone survival scrap. They are 5 clear of United and Kelly and 6 clear of Ross County. Liam Gordon, the club captain, was the goal hero just 2 minutes before the break, but it was a nervy finale for the hosts even after Charlie Mulgrew landed a straight red card. Stephen Fletcher striking the crossbar deep into added time as the Saints supporters were made to sweat for their first home win here in 7 months. Fletcher went close after just 11 minutes testing Remy Matthews as United made a bright start. Kieran Freeman next to threaten with a shot deflected past Matthews' post as United really looked to push on 3 straight league wins they'd taken into this game. But Saints grew into the game before half time. Graham Carey, who was recalled for the injured Conor McLennan, he had an angled drive pushed away by goalkeeper Mark Berighetti in 37 minutes, but a breakthrough goal came just 6 minutes later. United and Berighetti failed to deal with a throw, and a long throw from Andy Considine in the left. Stevie May should have profited here, a fresh air swipe, but the ball fell invitingly for captain Gordon, who guided a low right foot shot into the corner for 1-0. United needed to respond after the break. Murray Niskanen, he had an effort that was headed cleared by Considine before it could threaten Matthews in goal, and then a flashpoint in 61 minutes. Melker Halberg breaking clear in the inside left channel, taken down as a last man by Charlie Mulgrew. Referee Alan Muir quickly on the scene flashed a red card. The decision was backed by the VAR. Greg Aiken off when Mulgrew. United tried a reshuffle. Wide men Aziz Behic and Niskanen ended up back in the full back roles. They tried everything they could to push forward and threaten Matthews' goal. They never came closer than when Fletcher cracked the woodwork deep into 5 added minutes added on by Muir. After all those wins for United, they are now back deep in a relegation scrap. 1 point separating 3 teams at the bottom. St Johnstone have a bit of breathing space, so Gordon. Saints 1, Dundee United 0.
What a day at the bottom. You just were looking to see if Dundee United or Kilmarnock were about to put something together. They've both been beaten, have they, David Friel?
Yes, they have. Gordon full time, Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 0. It's party time here at Fir Park. Stuart Kettlewell probably won't admit it, but Motherwell are surely officially safe now after a big win. His side are now 9 points ahead of the relegation playoff. Only 4 games to go. They are safe. They can start planning for next season. Kevin Van Veen came out to see a big King Kev banner before the game, and he crowned another top display with an injury strike goal to take his tally to 25 for the season. Blair Spittle, he grabbed his 5th of the season, and Motherwell are now closing in on Livingston in 7th place. What a job Stuart Kettlewell has done. I know it's been said, but they were joint bottom when they took over, and their season has been utterly transformed. Great work from him. It was a delayed kick-off start of the game due to a problem with Kevin Cansey's earpiece. Motherwell wasted no time when they did start opening the scoring inside 4 minutes. James Furlong raced down the left, picked out Spittle with a really nice low cross. He took a touch and found the bottom corner with his left foot. Van Veen had the ball in the net after Mikael Mandron's low cross. That was ruled out after a lengthy VAR delay. It was offside. Kelly's best chance of the first half came when Danny Armstrong called a free kick off the base of the post. In fairness, that was probably as close as they came all day. They improved in the second half, but they didn't really carry a goal threat at any time. Motherwell had all the best chances. Blair Spittle had another shot saved by Sam Walker after really good work from Van Veen. Van Veen was in the mood. He just constantly pulled down out that left flank, just cut inside. It was terrorising the Kelly defence. He could have had a hat-trick. Walker saved one, about 2 or 3 get blocked, and then eventually, after Paul McGinn missed the sitter of the season when he hit the post from 6 yards, Van Veen did get his goal. He raced through, showed great composure, and then just finished easily past Sam Walker. 25 for the season. Motherwell are looking up. For Kelly, relegation remains a real possibility. Derek McKinney's side are now just 1 point off bottom with 4 games to go. They are in deep trouble, but good times for Motherwell. Full time, Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 0.
What a day of Premiership football. Ross County beating Livingston as well, so it's just got even tighter at the bottom. Just when you thought it would maybe start to separate, it has been a good day for Motherwell, a good day for St Johnstone, a good day for Ross County, but a bad day for Dundee United and Killie in between. So it's that time on a Saturday when you have your say. It's the best bit of the Saturday. So what are you thinking? 0141 951 1025. If we are talking today, Motherwell fans, are you officially safe? St Mirren fans, how disappointing it was the afternoon at Easter Road. Anyone else involved? Kilmarnock fans, how worried are you starting to get? Pick up the phone. Maybe you want to go last night. Queen's Park fans, are there any out there in Glasgow and the West who are disappointed to fall short? How do you see it panning out in the playoffs? And of course, tomorrow, this is your last chance. It is your last chance to have your say before those games, and they are huge. Rangers fans, who are you going to pick? Who are you going to play? Are you done with Morelos and Kent? Are you as well leaving them out for the next 5 games? Or, like Michael Beale says, do they still have a big part to play? You tell us, are you playing them tomorrow or not? Are you changing the goalkeeper? Is it time Robbie McCrory got a chance? Or are you sticking with Alan McGregor? Let us know right now, Celtic fans. Are you wrapping up the title tomorrow? Will Hearts pose much of a threat? There's no Carter Vickers, there's no Alistair Johnson. So get all your thoughts in right now, please. 0141 951 1025.